Stunning tackle from Byrne there. So England leading this World Cup final 26 points to 13. If you're listening to us on Sports Extra, hop over to 5 Live so you don't miss a second of this historic occasion, and we will leave you in the hands of our wonderful commentary team at Forest versus Sunderland.
Thank you very much. Good evening from the City Ground. Thank you for joining us on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. If you do want the conclusion of the Women's Rugby World Cup final between Canada and England, of course, available for you on BBC Radio 5 Live. But here, all eyes are on the Nottingham Forest dugout, where Ange Postecoglou will stand tonight for the first time since taking charge almost 3 weeks ago. Still looking for a first win as Forest boss. They welcome a Sunderland side. This a first league meeting between the two in 8 years. My name's Charlie Slater. Alongside me is Charlie Adam. We'll start with Forest, Charlie. No win in 6. Still to win under Ange. It all needs to change pretty quickly. Yeah, it does. But again, if we discussed off air, a tough 4 away games in terms of European football, travel and everything like that. But he's a top-class manager, and I think he's the one. He can turn it round at Nottingham Forest, because this is a special football club that's got an unbelievable fan base. That fan base you've just heard there burst into life as the two teams make their way out of the tunnel. Nottingham Forest in a kit of red and white, Sunderland in a changed away strip of blue and white, blue socks, white shorts and blue shirts. 5 changes for Nottingham Forest as Ange Postecoglou has to shuffle his pack with this game sandwiched between a couple of Europa League matches. Chris Wood does get the nod to return to the 11, with Igor Jesus, who scored twice on Wednesday night, settling for a place on the bench. Nicolas Dominguez plays for the first time this season after a knee injury. James McAtee also starts in the Premier League for the first time after his summer switch from Man City. Ndoye and Bakwa return, with Douglas Luiz injured. Sangare, Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi and Jesus all on the bench. Much more straightforward for Sunderland. One change there. Masuaku replaces the suspended Reinildo, and Luke O'Nien returns to the Sunderland squad for the first time since last season's playoff final. A brilliant start to the new campaign for Régis Lebris and Sunderland.
Yeah, it's exactly what you would want for a promoted team. Spent a lot of money, invested really well, and again for them is getting momentum as quick as they can within the Premier. Last year the promoted team struggled, and it took them a while before the first win came, but the 3 clubs, Burnley, Leeds and Sunderland, have all had their wins this year so far, and they've started the season really well with Sunderland. So they have to try and pick as many points up quickly, because ultimately they're going to lose, I think, 6 or 7 to the AFCON in December, which will be a big blow for them. It's like I say, it's the third of the squad really.
Ange Postecoglou stands dressed all in black, hands shoved into his pockets, meaning business inside the technical area in front of this old Peter Taylor stand. Absolutely packed here in the City Ground on a mild, even warm for the time of year, evening under grey skies. It is dry. The away end to our right in the Bridgeford stand is absolutely packed to the rafters with travelling Sunderland supporters who have seen their team take 8 points from 5 games so far. It's better than in each of their last 7 Premier League campaigns, and the omens are good for them. No newly promoted side has ever been relegated, having amassed 8 points after 5 games. Quite different though for Nottingham Forest. Yes, Postecoglou, Charlie, has been given a bit of a hospital pass in a sense with those 4 away games to start his term here as Forest manager, but at the same time it's 4 games without a win in the Premier League, even 6 in all competitions but 4 in the Premier League, and at no point last season did they have a stretch like that.
No, absolutely not, and again that's why they've changed the manager, because there's been things that the owner's not seen and doesn't feel that there's that connection that they did last year, and he's made the change. But I think this is where the season really starts going for Ange and Nottingham Forest now. Tough thing is they have an international break soon as well, which is tough, but no, they've got a good squad of players. You can see they could rotate, and they could take Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi, Sangare, Ryan Yates, all on the bench tonight, so they've got quality on the bench that they can bring on. So Ange is not taking his job knowing that it's not going to be easy. He knows that, but he knows he's got a good group of players as well.
Red and white scarves raised above the heads everywhere you look in the City Ground. For the first time, Mull McIntyre there was just an extra ounce of energy into that rendition of their old tune here by the banks of the River Trent. We are underway on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Nottingham Forest in red shirts with white shorts and red socks. Sunderland in blue shirts, blue socks and white shorts. I'll run you through the teams in a moment, but it is Sunderland that have the ball. They kick from right to left in this first half, so they're defending the goal with which their travelling supporters are packed in behind. So much sport this weekend on BBC Radio 5 Live. Of course, the Ryder Cup golf. There's Prem Rugby tomorrow as well, and WSL and Premier League football. The BBC Sounds app is a must-have, as Nicholas Dominguez for Nottingham Forest gets an early touch. That is first touch since suffering a knee injury towards the end of last season. Charlie Adam.
Yeah, a good opportunity for Dominguez to come into the team, playing alongside Elliot Anderson, who's been in terrific form, getting 2 England caps recently as well. And I watched him in the under-21s tournament in the summer playing for England when I was doing the pro licence, and he was an unbelievable talent on the pitch, and again he's been given that reward with the 2 caps at senior level. But good experience in this Forest team, being able to bring in Zinchenko from Arsenal and Man City. They've good experience, but corner given away there by Zinchenko just gave him the curse.
Yes, well done. You've dropped right into the commentary curse roll there very swiftly. It is a corner kick for Sunderland. As I say, they kick from right to left, and it's the former Arsenal midfielder, now the Sunderland skipper, Granit Xhaka, who will go across and take this corner kick. Forest have every single player, including the big man Chris Wood, back inside their own penalty area. No Douglas Luiz or Murillo in the squad because they're both still injured. It's a short corner kick taken to Rigg, now out in the direction of Lefay. Right-footed ball curls into the penalty area and it's headed away. But Sunderland and their manager, who stands arms folded in a Sunderland club tracksuit on the edge of his technical area, will be pleased with this start. I'm pleased with that ball down the left-hand side. It's the one change there. Masuaku picks it up, left-footed ball into the penalty area. Important header away from Morato, facing his own goal on the edge of his own 6-yard box. And Dylan Bakwa, one of the 5 changes for Forest, looks to smuggle it away through the help of Zinchenko up to the halfway line. Let me go through these teams now while I've still got some chance. 5 changes. In come Dominguez and Doy, McAtee, Bakwa and Chris Wood. Out go Luiz, Sangari, Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi and Jesus. 1 change for Sunderland. The suspended Ranildo is out. In comes Masuaku. Sunderland on the attack again. Another ball flicked into the penalty area. This one lands on the roof of Matt Sell's net.
Yeah, it's been a positive start from Sunderland, hasn't it? Got corner, trying to put crosses into the box. But for Sunderland, that when you're setting up with a corner and you've got so many big players in the box, and Milinkovic, Morato, Wood, it's a small target to hit, and you've got to be really on the money if you want to play. But it's a good start from Sunderland.
The Serbian skipper Milinkovic knocks a ball forward up towards Wood, who couldn't control it, and now it's with Omar Alderete at the back for Sunderland. Signed in the summer, one of 13 new signings. He was at Getafe in Spain last year. Smuggled through the lines now for Siddiqui into Lefay. And back to Alderete again. All of this directly in front of where Ange Postecoglou stands, arms folded a couple of yards inside of Nottingham Forest territory. And ball will run out for a Forest throw-in. What do you think Postecoglou will want to see from his team in the early stages
just watching
of this?
Chris Wood there, and the trigger for them is Alderete. They don't want McKeel getting on the ball, so what he's trying to do is just block and lock Alderete to this side of the pitch, so where that's their trigger to then go and press the ball, because what they're not trying to get them back out the other side. So that's something that Forest look like they've worked on. I've watched Alderete a couple of times this year, Sunderland, and he likes to come into midfield, and when he gets into that area of the middle of the pitch, he starts to panic, and that's where Sunderland will be, Forest will be looking at. He tries to play some straight passes, they can nick it, and then they can counter-attack quickly.
4 minutes gone here, still 0-0 at the City Ground. That was the voice of the former Scotland international Charlie Adam on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Earlier today, Manchester City smashed Burnley 5-1 at 3 o'clock. It finished 2 apiece between Leeds and Bournemouth. Crystal Palace, as you may well have heard on BBC Radio 5 Live, left it late to beat Liverpool. Liverpool lose for the first time this season by 2-1. really entertaining but ultimately excellent afternoon for Brighton at Stamford Bridge. They won by 3-1 at Chelsea, and at lunchtime also in West London, Brentford beat Man United by 3-1. We have a Sunderland free kick 10 yards inside of their own half with Granit Xhaka fouled and grounded, and what a pickup he's proving to be. You talked about experience earlier in the Forest ranks mixed with some youth. Granit Xhaka offers so much Premier League experience to a Sunderland side that doesn't have much.
Yeah, I watched him against Burnley in the season, and he was running the show for 70 minutes, and he ran out of steam like Sunderland have over the time. Sometimes they've ran out of steam, but he's a very good player still, controls the tempo, gets on the ball, good experiences, and he's got Premier League knowledge and understanding for this young group. Can you imagine for Chris Rigg playing in his first couple of games for Sunderland, playing alongside somebody like Granit Xhaka? So much he can learn from that. Such potential as well in still 18-year-old Chris Rigg. His manager said he handled being the man that was substituted once there was that sending off against Aston Villa a week ago really well as any 18-year-old who wants to play every minute can handle. Speaking of promising youngsters, here's Elliot Anderson for Forest on the right wing. 5 yards outside of the penalty area, he turns back up the touchline as Forest kick from left to right in red and white. Anderson with Dominguez making his first start of the season, first appearance of the season, having injured his knee towards the end of last year. They have Matt Sells in goal, dressed in all yellow, and Forest work it out to Ndoye on the left wing, closed down by Trey Hume, stutter steps, looks for an opening and rolls it back in the direction of Zinchenko, who immediately returns it to Ndoye, cuts in, right-footed ball to the penalty spot, shoveled clear by Noah Siddiqui, and Forest have it again through Morato. Yeah, good play from Forest, just trying to get Ndoye 1v1 with Hume on that wide area. But again, can they rotate? Can they get the ball in the box? Because they've got somebody like Wood who's a brilliant target for them in there. They're doubling up on him as well, aren't they? They're putting the two big centre halves, Alderete and Mukiele, on Chris Wood every time that Forest get the ball into a crossing position, either down that left or right. They're immediately, as they do now, doubling up and making life difficult for the Kiwi. No matter how good he was, no matter how high he could jump, though, he wasn't going to get on the end of that ball. Long and rather poor, and behind for a Sunderland goal kick with 7 minutes gone. For me, that's Chris Wood again, attracting two players. So again, there has to be space between a full-back and a centre-back. So who's willing to run beyond? Is it going to be McAtee? Is it going to be Anderson? Is it going to be Ndoye or Bakwa on the opposite side if it's Ndoye with the ball? So you've got to force yourself, you've got to be selfish for the team, because ultimately two centre-backs are going to mark Wood. The space will be there for the runners, and ultimately trying to get their pass in as well.
Goalless here at the City Ground on 5 Sports Extra. A long ball forwards from Alderete, which is dealt with by Morato, the Brazilian defender. But now there's a slight slip, and it almost opened the door for Isidore, and it still does, and Isidore drags his effort just wide. Forest couldn't get hold of it, the old proverbial hot potato, and it fell to Wilson Isidore, who's been in such fine goal-scoring form, and on the swivel he drags his right-footed shot just wide.
Yeah, poor play from Morato. He's all over the place, just can't get real first contacts. Tries to dribble, Dominguez gets caught, and Isidore swivels and he goes through the legs of Milinkovic just wide of the post. But it's a brilliant opportunity for Sunderland.
And that's a really neat turn from James McAtee, who leaves Noah Siddiqui for dead, and Siddiqui puts both hands over McAtee's shoulders. He tries to slow him down. The referee this afternoon, Tony Harrington, blows his whistle, goes to his notebook, and Noah Siddiqui gets the first yellow card of this afternoon. He's really impressed, Siddiqui. Even though McAtee left him there trailing in his wake, he has had an excellent start to the season. Yeah, no, he's good, but these are the things away from home. 9 minutes, you put pressure on your team, you put pressure on yourself. But it's brilliant play from McAtee. He gets on the half turn, runs by him, but again, he can't afford the second booking. He needs to calm down and organise to get himself regrouped, because you don't want your team going down to 10 men. And Ndoye down the left wing, Cruyff turns, chops back into the penalty area and beats his man, goes down in the penalty box. Some appeals for a penalty from the fans, but not from any of the players. The referee shakes his head, and play continues with Morato for Forest up near the halfway line. If you're wondering how England are getting on, the World Cup final against Canada, now leading by 33 points to 13. You can hear that on BBC Radio 5 Live, and they are edging closer to the World Cup trophy. Here's McAtee for Forest down the right, back for Bakwa, left-footed ball towards the back post. Ndoye stretches his neck muscles for it, but can't quite keep it in. It goes behind for a Sunderland goal kick. 0-0, 10 gone.
Yeah, good play from Bakwa again, getting out his feet and delivering. As a striker, Chris Wood, he's like, sometimes he'll be waiting, but Bakwa just gets out his feet and delivers, and it's his mate on the opposite side, Ndoye, getting in at that back post. And that's what you tell your strikers and your wide players. When your opposite winger getting the back post there, an opportunity. So it was a good, decent enough ball, but he just went underneath the ball, Ndoye. Great
composure from Nordi Mukiele, who steps away from the pressing Ndoye a moment ago, though Sunderland have squandered any advantage that they might have earned by getting in behind the first wave of the press by blazing a long ball forwards and behind for a goal kick.
And just gone mental here. Ndoye jumping to Trey Hume when he didn't need to, and he opening up the space there. So again, that's what Andrew's telling him. Forrest are just coming straight back to the halfway line, not even interested in what's going on at the top end of the pitch, and leaving Chris Wood up there on their own with the two centre backs to try and build, and then when they're going to engage in the middle of the pitch to then get a trigger to go and press. But Ndoye takes his sell at the game, and Andrews was not happy there.
Postecoglou said in his programme notes that they're nowhere near the finished article yet, which is understandable. He's not really even been in the door for 3 whole weeks yet. Of course, Nuno Espirito Santo was sacked. He has now rocked up in East London and been appointed West Ham United manager today. Been a busy day in East London with the sacking of Potter and the appointment of Espirito Santo. It'll be interesting to see how the Portuguese gets on there.
Yeah, it's difficult as a British coach myself, and British managers or English managers, you want to see them do well in the English game in terms of in the Premier League, because it gives everybody else an opportunity to really grab something. And it's tough for Graham. It's been a tough job, and that's the last couple of jobs he's been. It was tough going to Chelsea and then obviously going to West Ham. So he'll have to pick himself up. I hear a lot of good things about Graham Potter as a coach and as a tactician, and hopefully he's back in the game soon, because us young British coaches looking up to these managers, it gives us hope that one day that we can be coaching in the Premier League, because we need as many British coaches in the top level as we can.
His only really good day this season was here at the City Ground in Forest. Last Premier League outing at home, a 3-0 win for West Ham, which spelled the end of Espirito Santo's time, albeit a protracted end, because the international break then came and there was a bit of a delay between full time then and the decision being made a few days later. There's Nico Dominguez, an extra option that Espirito Santo didn't have earlier this season, that Postecoglou does. Bright orange boots tucked in off of the left wing, and Forest have it under full control as they roll it from left to right out to Nico Williams and back into the middle of defence once more for Nikola Milenkovic. Just to give you an idea of what exactly is going on this evening on BBC Radio 5 Live, the conclusion of the Women's Rugby World Cup final is on 5 Live, and then live commentary of day 2 from the Ryder Cup at Bethpage will continue until the very last ball is hit in the 4 balls, and aren't Team Europe going well. Here's Nico Williams on the right, rolls it back up the line for Anderson, and now to Morato. Morato is not called Morato at all, that is the town that he's from, and that's the name he took as a teenager. Nice little flick down the right from Bakwa to McAtee, who just about keeps it in, and it's then hooked away by Aldereta as far as Milenkovic. I say nice little flick, nice on the eye. Was it actually necessary? Because it wasn't actually a good ball.
No, actually, no. You could actually just slide McAtee in the same way, just with his left foot, but he tried to do like a Rabona type thing. But again, Forest now starting to control the game. Sunderland in a 4-4-2 shape, looking to press from that. But again, when they press, the space is in behind the two sixes, because Jacques is now trying to jump from his space and his slot. So it's really important that McAtee and Zinchenko as well, now as a fullback, is now playing as like an 8 and in a pocket. So that's where the space is. They've got the 3-2 build up, so any rollout for Sunderland, Forest, between Anderson and Dominguez, that will really, really hurt in terms of getting Forest control of the game and getting them further up the pitch.
Played 14 minutes at the City Ground, still 0-0 here on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. That was Charlie Adam that you heard just there. Pleased to be with you throughout the evening. Tomorrow back on Sports Extra you'll find rugby, you'll find the WSL, and at 4 o'clock you will also find Newcastle against Arsenal in the Premier League. That a 4:30 kickoff. Forest take a quick throw in on the halfway line for Wood. Wood straight down that left touchline for Ndoye, pushes it past his man and then goes down He wanted a free kick and more, but the referee says that you dived and Trey Hume actually got away with it, I think, because you'd see a lot of referees give those.
I thought it was actually a foul. I think it's a brilliant turn of pace from Ndoye there. And no, he's not giving that one either. He's letting a couple go now, the referee, but I thought it was a foul. It was a lovely bit of speed from Ndoye to go past Hume, and he puts his arm out, but possibly from where we are, maybe not enough contact, but that'll be something that Hume has to be wary of, that Ndoye's got a bit of speed that he can run him.
Sunderland being hurried into errors. Forest immediately on the ball again with McAtee 20 yards inside of opposition territory. Now on the right wing from Nico Williams. Bakwa, also bright orange boots. Almost half of the Forest team are wearing those luminous marker tip colour orange boots that clash with their red and white kit.
Sponsorship of Puma, probably.
Yeah, you're probably right. Here is Morato, 10 yards inside the Sunderland half, back to Ndoye again. Nice touch out of his feet, turns it round the corner. Chris Wood chases it to the byline, hits it first time. It's blocked by Mukiele, gets a little bit lucky that it doesn't go behind for a corner kick, and then smashes it away down the right wing. It is all Nottingham Forest though, with 16 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, good patient play now from Forest. Again, when you've got ball controllers in there, and Anderson and Dominguez, he can dominate the game really well. Comfortable. Zinchenko now looking to get that build up, and even now he's so clever as a footballer. He's learned from Arteta, he's learned from Pep, and there's sort of similar moves and traits here.
Nico Williams, first time, fires a cross into the shin pads of Enzo Lefebvre, and that'll be Forest's first corner kick of this first half. Ange Postecoglou made 5 changes for this game, so there's remarkable strength in depth on his substitutes bench now. The likes of Hudson-Odoi, Gibbs White, Cali Mwendo and Igor Jesus all over there. But Chris Wood will feel like he's got a real point to prove. He was their top scorer last season, and it's from these opportunities, set pieces, corner kicks, where he makes his bread and butter.
Yeah, we said at the start it was a small area for Sunderland to hit, but it was a big area target now for Forest, with the big lads coming up for the corners.
Wood was the target, but Xhaka got there first, and he'll be busy from those set pieces. Then shields the ball from Elliot Anderson as if he was a grown-up, shielding it away from a child in the playground. Mukiele's clearance is charged down, and it'll be, I think, a throw-in to Sunderland deep in their own territory as they kick from right to left in that right fullback position, probably only 5 or 6 yards up from the far corner flag.
Yeah, good energy from Dominguez to go and close down the centre back there to get a throw in, and deep in that Sunderland half, but an opportunity to lock them in now to get some territory.
England have won the Women's Rugby World Cup final. They've beaten Canada by 33 points to 13. That's live for you on BBC Radio 5 Live at the conclusion of the ceremony there, where England will receive the World Cup trophy. We'll switch across to Bethpage in New York, where Europe are leading handsomely in the Ryder Cup against the United States by 8.5 points to 3.5. Another brilliant session in the foursomes this morning. The whole thing you can listen to this evening on BBC Radio 5 Live. Forest have it through Ndoye. Ndoye picks the wrong pass though, and Sunderland have it back again. And you can always count on Ange Postecoglou to be expressive in this technical area, and he wasn't particularly happy with Ndoye there, not for the first time this evening.
No, he does really well at Ndoye, but again, simple pass given to McAtee, and then all of a sudden they're driving at the back, Sunderland's backline, but he tried to reverse a pass back into Chris Wood, but there was no need for that. But he's one of these players that would probably be frustrating, but again, he's a positive if you've got him in your team.
There's lovely football from Talby down the right touchline as he then stands the ball up towards the far post. Good recovering play from Lefebvre to try and keep a hold of it, and struggle to do so, and Forest ultimately come up with it on the edge of their own penalty area. Delane Bakwa wins a throwing from Lefebvre, who joined in the January of last season, and at the time when he joined from Roma it looked like, my goodness, what a signing that is, but potentially what a gamble that might be as well. It was a loan with an agreement, an obligation to buy, but he's proved to be a really impressive pickup. And though Sunderland stumbled towards the end of the regular season, if you will, in the Championship, my goodness did they re-find their form in the playoffs, unseating Coventry City and Sheffield United on their way to a Premier League return.
Yeah, it's unbelievable again for Frank, really. I think it's disappointing because he started and finished the season really well, and then that moment again for them was disappointing. But again, we're seeing how good Frank Lampard is. He's got Coventry there flying near the top of the league, of the Championship, and another good win today against Birmingham. So no, it was a disappointing. But talk about Lefay there getting an obligation to buy. You're delighted to pay 20 million for somebody if you're going to get promoted, and being able to go and spend 160 million this summer. But it looks like they've spent well so far this season, and they have to try and keep that energy and that enthusiasm and that quality that they've shown in the first part of the season.
Nico Williams, who cost around £20 million way back when Forest first got promoted from Liverpool at the time, wins his side a throw-in, smacking it off of the head of Artem Masuaku, who's the one change for Regis Lebris this evening in Nottingham. Back to Milenkovic and now to Morato. He has Sells as an option, and Noah Sadiki beckons all of his teammates to come forwards as Forest steer the play back in the direction of their Belgian goalkeeper, who of course won the Golden Glove, or at least half of the Golden Glove last season, shared with Arsenal's David Raya in the Premier League. His first season in English football since a slightly unlucky time with Newcastle several years ago. Now Zinchenko, you talk about the experience, we'll come back to that, because what a wonderful ball that is from the Ukrainian. Picks out Ndoye, manages to keep it in near the byline, wins his side a second corner kick. And that's the sort of stuff I was about to, as the kids say, give Zinchenko his flowers, because he does offer such cultured experience play.
He's a very good footballer, isn't he? He can play a number of positions. He rolls in from that full-back position, but when he gets in the half-turn, you've got Ndoye that's willing to run and stretch the game, and he took Hume short and then run him in behind. Again, the ball just couldn't come down for him to get that, but he got a good opportunity to put the ball in the box for a corner.
Very, very busy looking 6-yard box indeed. 22 minutes on the clock, still waiting for a breakthrough as the ball is flicked up into the air, headed away before it could reach Chris Wood. Williams gets there first for Forest, twists and turns towards the byline, whips it in, and that one does find the head of Chris Wood. He just couldn't keep his header down. Behind goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, it's good play from Nico Williams. He wriggles it round and he crosses. Chris Wood just gets underneath it and it goes over the bar, but the big man looks like he's disappointed with that, really, and he'd be hoping to hit the target, but a lot of big lads in that box. They'll come for that corner.
Ange Postecoglou will be encouraged by what he's seen there, certainly by the control that he's seen from his side through the first 22 minutes of the game. He's become, whether rightly or wrongly, a bit of Premier League's favourite pantomime villain since his spell at Spurs, but of course, as he said, he wins a trophy in his second season, as he did with the Europa League, and Forest forced Sunderland into an error at the back. Quick throw-in taken. And there's two sides to look at Ange's start at Forest. You can see the improvements in the stats. They're averaging more possession, they're averaging more shots, more touches in the opponent's penalty area, but as yet it hasn't translated into wins. And 4 matches without a win, albeit all of them difficult, all of them away from home, is the longest any Forest manager has had to wait for a first win since a guy called Stan Hardy in 1930.
Well, hopefully it's Laurel and Hardy us two today, isn't it? But I think if you look at the way Forest played last year, and they gave up possession basically every game, but they were a real threat with the speed and the power of Langa and Hudson-Odoi and Gibbs White with the quality, and you had a goal scoring Chris Wood. So of course it's different, and Ange wants to play a different way, and that's why the owners made a change.
McAtee finds Anderson on the edge of the Sunderland area, and it almost finds its way through to Chris Wood. It ricochets up in the air, a wonderful recovering touch from Trey Hume, I think, which prevented the Kiwi striker from smashing that goal from all of 8 yards out.
Yeah, it was good play, good interlink there from Anderson and McAtee, and it spun up in the air, and Chris Wood was ready to just swing his left foot at it, but that Hume come back and done a brilliant block there.
24 minutes on the clock. It's Forest 0, Sunderland 0. Forest will host their first bit of European football here on Thursday night against Michelin in the Europa League, as Sadiki tries to touch it the other side of Milenkovic, but that is a very large man to try and run around, and the Serbian skipper, who you might remember was sent off in the game against England earlier this month for that last-ditch and rather untimely tackle of Harry Kane, made very light work of Noah Sadiki. Long ball forwards from Sells. They're trying to hit the outpost that is Chris Wood at every opportunity that they can and mix up the direct stuff with the more slow, patient build-up play.
Yeah, it's different play. I think Chris Wood's actually got to try and get in front of Mukeel there because of Sells. They've locked on and the space is actually in front of there just to clip it into to Wood and get the runners off. But again, for Sunderland, they're giving away easy possession now.
Yeah, it's the teenager Rigg who's given it to Bakwa. Bakwa now to Anderson, 22 yards out in front of goal, still has it, dribbles into the penalty area. His shot is blocked. Rigg is back there. He's the man that manages to wrestle possession back for Sunderland and make amends for his earlier errant pass, but the danger not completely cleared. It might well be now, though. Anderson will pressure the goalkeeper. Robin Roofs, who's made a good start. He did punch the ball into the back of his own net from Matty Cash's long-range effort against Aston Villa last week, but otherwise that's the only blemish on an otherwise impressive start with the gloves for Sunderland in the early stages of this Premier League season.
Yeah, no, I think, like you say, I think every Sunderland player started well, apart from Ronaldo's. He's obviously let his team down last week, but they stuck together. They showed a good mentality to get that point against Aston Villa, and you know, they're the moments I always opened up the space there for Lafay to get in. Lovely little bit of room, then tries to find Rigg, but Rigg's touch bounces off of him, and that's all the invitation that Forest need to recover possession again, and then Doy's away down the left wing. The referee playing an advantage. He now stops and surveys his options and cuts it back up the line again for Zinchenko, steers it into the middle of the midfield and lays it off for Nikola Milenkovic. Now Nico Williams and Bakwa on the right wing, one of 13 Forest signings over the summer, as they spent somewhere in the region of £200 million. Williams, curling ball into the area, again Wood's the target, again he couldn't quite get the presence nor power on it to be able to direct that goalwards, and instead goes behind for another Sunderland goal kick. 26 minutes have been played. Yeah, just get probably a little bit behind Chris Wood from Williams there. His cross, and it's short and shallow, but Chris Wood gets in front of the centre back and does that, and the full back wing back, Bakwa is so unlucky there not to get in the back post. Sunderland have it, looking to build down the right, but again given the ball away, and though these two now in the same division for the first time in 8 years, they look a flight apart. Forest on the edge of the Sunderland penalty area. McAtee looks for Williams. Lafay gets back in front of him, wrestles him to the ground. That'll be a Sunderland free kick. Yeah, it's unlucky from McAtee. It's a lovely touch from Nicky Williams, but Lafay does brilliant, as you want from your winger, tracking the full back all the way in. He gets a foul for his team, but Sunderland keep turning the ball over. No pressure on the ball. They're trying to force things into midfield. Sunderland, Nottingham Forest are picking it up and breaking on them in a number of times. I can't quite figure out whether or not Régis Lebris and his coaching staff are already considering a change. I saw his assistant a few moments ago waving one of the players to come back into the dugout. It's not beyond him to do that sort of thing. It's not unlike him. If he sees something that he doesn't like, we've got 28 minutes on the clock. Sunderland haven't been anywhere near the Forest half, let alone 18-yard box, probably since Wilson Isidore's snapshot twisting turning effort, which might well now be the best part of 20 minutes ago. Yeah, but it was a big chance, wasn't it? No, he's trying to get Talby to come inside and allow the fullback to get higher and wider. Well, they are now near the Forest penalty area. Lafay has it, straight ball into the feet of Isidore, out to Siddiqui, bright orange boots, fakes the cross, then turns to the byline, left-footed, cross to the back post, is kept alive. Rigg will challenge for it, Forest win it, and Doy now battling with Xhaka. I know what I like in that one there, and it's the guy wearing the blue of Sunderland, and indeed he's the one that wins the mini duel, and they have a free kick in a decent position. It's probably too far out to have a go at goal, but maybe 7 or 8 yards to the right of centre, and the best part of 10 or so outside of the penalty box. Yeah, it gives Lafay an opportunity to go and put it into an area where it can hurt Nottingham Forest. We're interested to see where this line is, because as we know, Ange's line normally at Tottenham's very high and he allows plenty of space in here, but they're just a couple of yards inside that 18-yard box. It's never dull when Ange Postecoglou is at any football match. He stands, strokes his chin on the edge of his technical area, arms folded, dressed all in black with those pundit pumps that you see, black shoes with white soles,
Regis Lebris stood the other side of the halfway line. The line is just a yard inside of the penalty area, and here is the right-footed ball inviting into the 6-yard box. Sunderland are saying that one of their players was wrestled to the ground. The referee, Tony Harrington's not interested at the moment, and it'll be a Forest throw-in about 10 yards up the touchline on the far side of the ground, the left full-back position for Alexander Sinchenko.
He's having a little think from the VAR official here. There might be a bit of contact from Milinkovic on the way in.
We're just seeing a replay now, aren't we? I think even if they start to look at that, it looks like Hume's offside before anything happens, and there is a little bit of contact, not between the two of them. Not enough. And Hume's offside anyway, I think so. Play will continue. No need for a VAR check. We know how much Postecoglou hates VAR with every fibre of him, and he turned away there, still in disgust. You could see it from here at the back of the Peter Taylor stand. He was disgusted that there was even a need for a pause in the game. That's a nice break from Forrest. McAtee in the number 10 position as he breaks into Sunderland territory. He finds Nico Williams on the right. That's not a particularly good challenge from Arta Masuaku, and the referee will reach for his pocket for a second time this evening. A second Sunderland player to go into the book, and both of them play on the Sunderland left, so you would think Forest will look at that now and really try to exploit it. Yeah,
it's good play from McAtee on the half turn there, getting sliding. Nico Williams takes a lovely first touch past Mizuaki, and he fouls him. He's a winger playing full-back, and that's what you're going to get when you have that. It's not good, is it? It's just blocked him, and yeah, it's a yellow card. That's something out of my top drawer, and it's not a draw that you need to be looking in. We have a free kick then for Forest. I think you've got the wrong person sat beside you then, talking about tackling. About 16 yards up from the byline, 3 or 4 yards in from the near touchline. Dylan Backwell, left-footed ball, it curls and is ultimately too close to the goalkeeper. A very comfortable claim for the Dutchman Robin Roofs. Yeah, it's too high and too floaty. If it had a wee bit more pace and it was delivered with a little bit more intent, then you might have got a runner across the front. But again, that's the target. This left-hand side of Sunderland, both on yellow cards. Can we attack? Can we make them make mistakes and get him? What do you call him? Bakwa and Doy 1v1 in the wide areas. Really be quality and also direct at the fullbacks. Former Liverpool and Stoke man Charlie Adam with us this evening on 5 Sports Extra at the City Ground. Quite a warm City Ground evening here, tucked away at the back of the old main stand. Discussions around this part of the world continue as to whether or not they're ever going to give this place a makeover or perhaps move altogether. I think a makeover is the preferred option of the Greek owner Evangelos Marinakis. So as I look down in front of me, I can just see the top of his head sat in almost like a throne-like chair, huge TV in front of him, gesticulating towards the assistant referee, saying that he felt that should have been a Forest throw-in. Instead it's a throw-in to the visitors. Sunderland. Some size of telly, isn't it? It's like a cinema screen. It really is. I don't know how the TV's so big he probably has to look like he's watching a tennis match when it rotates and the ball goes from left to right. Sunderland have it down the left with Siddiqui. Nico Williams almost slips, 1-2 round the corner from Masuaki. Back to Siddiqui again. Low left-footed cross is knocked clear, and it'll be a Sunderland throw-in again. Enzo Lefebvre comes across and won't take, but will give the ball to the man who's just got into the referee's notebook, Arta Masuaku. What you will say about the owner is he's put a hell of a lot of money, hasn't he? And he's got them to Nottingham Forest again. What a night it's going to be, that European game against Midtjylland here on Thursday night. Well, it's going to be special. Bring back so many memories for the older generations of Nottingham Forest fans, but also for the young generations that this is a big football club that's won European trophies, and let's say this owner and this manager want to bring success to Nottingham Forest. Siddiqui for Sunderland on the left wing, looking for an option at the moment. Thought about giving it to Masuaku, instead goes into the midfield for Xhaka, who now does find Masuaku. Left-footed curling ball to the back post is beyond everybody, and will run out for a throw-in on the far side. We played 34 minutes, which I think will be more encouraged. It is 0-0. Neither goalkeeper has been particularly troubled, and you could argue, for all the possession that Forest have had, the best chance of the game was fallen to Wilson Isidore. Yeah, absolutely. I think both managers will be happy in terms of obviously the control that Ange's got in the team with the ball. But if I'm an away manager here coming to a place like this after 34 minutes, we've had the best chance, and we've not really been tested. You know, I think it's Sunderland are happy and content, but they have to be wary of situations where, you know, centre back now stepping in, trying to play straight passes and getting done on a counter attack and giving the ball away just as he has.
Or just a moment of miscontrol from Masuaku, who signed in the summer from Besiktas, signed a 2-year deal, formerly of West Ham. Played well over 100 times in East London, as Matt Sells picks it up for Forest, dressed all in yellow. Weird stat that I saw when I was looking up this game: Sunderland yet to score or concede a goal in the first half through their first 5 Premier League matches. And as things stands, with 10 minutes to go at the end of the first half, that is a stat that still stands. So perhaps we shouldn't be too surprised that it is in fact goalless. Wonderful ball from the keeper, Roots, who splits the Forest midfield in half, and Siddiqui has ran with it 40 yards and will hit it straight into the heel of Nikola Milenkovic. It spins out for a throw.
Yeah, it's brilliant play from the goalkeeper, Roos. Absolutely just splitting pass between 2 midfielders into Siddiqui on the half turn, and he's driving to the box. But again, when you've got a goalkeeper that can play that type of way, it's a real weapon for you.
Sunderland come again as the ball ricochets in the direction of Siddiqui, who tries to help it first time in the general direction of Isidore, but missed him by about 3 yards or so. And now Nico Dominguez goes down, wants a free kick. The referee initially was happy to let play continue, but now he's stopped the game and said, you know what, actually, you've dived and you can have a yellow card. Dominguez is still down, so at least he's following through on the acting, if it is indeed acting at all.
It's a strange decision. I thought it was actually a foul there. But to be fair, if he doesn't think he's been caught, Dominguez is not happy, is he? He's trying to show the referee on the Achilles there where he's been touched, but there's not many referees would have turned round and gave that.
No, it's a curious one, and Tony Harrington has some explaining to do now to the Forest captain this evening, Chris Wood. This is one of the new things that the PGMO has brought in. Is there a touch there? We're just seeing the referee.
No, fair play to the referee. I think he's made a decent enough decision, hasn't he?
He has.
Fair play.
He kicks himself by the looks of things. Dominguez, he stands on his own toe as he lands. And so fair play to the referee. He's made a few unpopular decisions in this first half, and yet all of them, when we've seen the replay, appear to be absolutely correct.
So how Dominguez has been booked for kicking himself and getting booked for diving.
Premier League, you can't beat it. 19 yards outside of the penalty area. Curling ball finds Aldereta, and Sunderland are in front. There was a pause there as the Sunderland players and fans almost couldn't believe their luck. Curling, inviting free kick as the Forest defenders had switched off, and Omar Alderete stuck behind them all and headed it home from close range. Matt Sells made contact but just couldn't keep it out. 37 minutes on the clock. It's Forest 0, Sunderland 1.
Yeah, there's a block coming round the back here from Sunderland player, but it's a lovely ball from Xhaka round the back, and Alderete goes and heads the ball. There's nothing a goalkeeper can do, but he's got to be stronger at the back post.
I think we might. Are we having a VAR check here? Difficult to tell, because of course we're sat in the stadium and often in as much of the dark as the rest of the fans that are in here. The Sunderland supporters at the moment don't care a jot. They are all on their feet, singing, clapping, cheering, throwing their arms in the air. There is a VAR check. They're of course first of all checking.
I think it's going to go this could be called off. There's an actual look at Williams getting blocked and pulled.
Williams appears to get pulled to the ground on the edge of the penalty area by Arta Masuaku. It completely frees up Aldereta, who heads it almost straight at Matt Sells. Nothing the Belgian keeper can do. It squeezes past him.
If I'm honest, I think it's a foul.
Well, the first thing they're checking is offside to see whether Aldereta's onside.
Definitely not offside. There's a foul on Williams. It's how strong the referee thinks that he's been blocked from the full-back, Masuaku.
Ange Postecoglou was in his dugout gesticulating furiously with his coaching staff. We only mentioned 10 minutes or so ago how much he hates VAR. That's not going to change. Goal given, check over. Sunderland do indeed lead at the City Ground by 1-0 with 6 minutes left at the end of the first half. Omar Alderete, a signing in the summer, gets his first Premier League goal for the Black Cats.
Well done to the set piece coach or whoever has done them at Sunderland, and they got the block round the back there, and they've got away with it. But I felt there was a bit of a foul, but no, it was good play from Sunderland. Lovely ball from Xhaka and a good header from Alderete.
And it's a painful, punishing goal for Ange Postecoglou. Stood on the edge of his technical area, as he always is, arms folded in front of him. I can see him shaking his head there. 4 matches without a win to start his tenure as Forest head coach. Tonight an opportunity to make a good impression in front of the home faithful for the very first time, and at the minute not doing so, as Anderson goes down on the halfway line and then gets back up again. The referee was going to give an advantage. The Australian will not be happy, first of all, with the awarding of the free kick, second of all with the block at the back post that was not penalised. But as I said a few moments ago, those Sunderland fans don't care a bit, do they?
No, absolutely not. Travelling the numbers, don't they? Big support, big football club that's been, in League One for a long time. Managed to get promoted to the Championship, and then they're getting that golden ticket back into the Premier League. It's been a long time for them, and they're always a club that's supported well on the road, and full voice tonight. And as I say, and as a away performance, if you're the manager, you're absolutely delighted with what your team's given so far.
And that random anomaly of not scoring or conceding a single goal so far this season in the first half is now no longer a stat that is worth telling, because that is Sunderland's first half goal of the season. It's only Aston Villa, by the way, now that are still yet to score in the first 45 minutes of the game. Nico Dominguez turns the ball out onto the left wing for Ndoye. Important 4 minutes remaining at the end of the first half for Forest to try and show that they've got some bite in them, some fight to try and find an equaliser.
Yeah, they need to move the ball quicker. Too many labour passes, trying to just build and build. They need to try and play forward just a little bit quicker than they can. Try and get the movement, the patterns that they've been working on. And that run from Zinchenko now from the pocket, getting in behind the Xhaka.
It goes down, little shoulder in the back. Referee wasn't going to give anything, and then as the ball came back in the direction of the Ukrainian fullback from Ndoye, he had to leave it because he knew he was in an offside position. And so it's a goal kick for Sunderland, who'll take their sweet time over the taking of it. Regis Lebris stood in his technical area, will be utterly thrilled. All of their wins so far this season have come at the Stadium of Light. They picked up their first away point at Crystal Palace a few weeks ago, looking for a first away 3 points. And they are almost halfway there with just 2 or 3 minutes remaining. There was another yellow card there a few moments ago. We'll try to figure out who exactly that was to. As Forest have it on the halfway line, inside the centre circle, McAtee finds Williams. Williams now onto the right wing for Bakwa, and Williams is offering the underlapping run and getting him backwards way a little bit. Left-footed ball into the penalty area, headed away by Alderete to Isidore. Sunderland in blue shirts, blue socks and white shorts have it back again. And the referee and the assistant have fallen for that one, as Sadiqi's thrown himself to the ground in front of the home faithful here in the Peter Taylor stand, and have given Sunderland a free kick, and that did look to be a little bit generous that time.
Yeah, that wasn't a foul. It was good, to be fair. If you're Sunderland, you're delighted with that, Sadiqi getting that foul, but it wasn't a foul. He's stumbling over. But again, for Sunderland, good organisation, good shape, and now they've been able to get through that period after scoring a goal, because you're always that little bit vulnerable after you score a goal.
All the boos that you can hear, all the cheers are because Alderete's taking his time over the free kick. Now he does, long ball forwards up to Isidore, but never got anywhere near him, and runs all the way through instead to Matt Sells. 43 minutes on the clock. Forest 0, Sunderland 1. Alderete with the goal. It was checked by VAR for offside and a potential block in the build-up to it, but given, and Sunderland lead and have the ball. Very shortly indeed on 5 Live we'll be switching our attention from the Women's Rugby World Cup final, where England were triumphant against Canada, to the Ryder Cup at Bethpage. The evening's 4-ball session just getting underway there on the East Coast. You'll be able to hear all of that until the very last putt is sunk this evening at Bethpage with our amazing team on 5 Live. Nico Williams, 10 yards inside of the Sunderland half as Forest look to push for an equaliser in the final minute of the first 45. Back to McAtee. They've got so many options, Forest, on the bench, who they may well turn to at half-time. You wouldn't rule it out try and add a bit more teeth and bite to their attack, a bit more dynamism. They certainly have that in the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White and Jesus. Dylan Backwell is calling for more noise from the Forest fans. They didn't exactly respond to him there. Milenkovic to Williams on the right wing, 10 yards up the touchline from the corner flag away to our right as Forest kick from left to right towards the Bridgeford stand in the first half. All eyes will turn to the fourth official in a moment, who's already got his illuminated board to find out how long will be added on, probably 2 or 3 minutes because of the VAR check. And now it's from Morato just inside of the Forest half. Ball out to the left wing for Dan and Doy, as the fourth official tells us that there will in fact be 2 minutes added on. McAtee back to Zinchenko, 15 yards outside of the Sunderland penalty area. Darkness starting to descend on this part of the East Midlands on a grey but warm evening. Dominguez now to the brilliant Elliot Anderson. Not so brilliant on that occasion. He balloons his right-footed cross up in the air. You talked about the commentator's curse earlier on. I've just done it now. As Dylan Backwell tries to stop Talby's one-man counter-attack. Just about does so. Forest have it back. As I say that, Chris Rigg wins possession and then he loses out. Ball into the Sunderland penalty area is flicked away. Nico Williams and Enzela Faye tussle with one another and Sunderland come up with it. 2 minutes added on. We've played nearly a minute of that. Ball given away to Anderson on the edge of the Sunderland penalty area, still going towards the byline, cuts it into the 6-yard box, straight into the gloves of the goalkeeper.
I don't understand what the fullback Moiswaki is doing. You're 2 minutes to go and he's trying to dribble out and play a pass inside, slide it down the side, get your team up the pitch and get the game into half time. But great defence, low block, 4-4-2, dealing with crosses coming in the box. You know that when they get to that byline they want to put crosses in the box, and the two centre backs are heading everything away. So good organisation, good shape so far. Sunderland trying to see it at the end of this half.
Well, Rashid Labrie said in his pre-match press conference that they don't feel comfortable in the Premier League just yet. They certainly look it. Here's Nico Williams on the right wing, inviting ball into the penalty area, goes over the head of McAtee, but it's retrieved by Ndoye. He's jinking back and forth, hits it! It deflects just wide. Corner kick for Forest.
Yeah, it's brilliant play from Ndoye. Left, right, goes, shifts it, and he just gets a deflection there off the centre back Alderete and goes wide for a corner.
An in-swinging corner it will be from Dylan Backwell, and you'd think this might be an area from set pieces. Obviously it's a set piece that's undone Forest, but in attacking positions with all of their size, that they might well be able to gain some ground. They're looking for an equaliser. 2 minutes added on, those two are up. Here comes the in-swinging corner to the back post. Chris Wood heads it over the top of the crossbar from all of 4 yards out.
Yeah, he's got underneath it and he's headed it back over the bar a bit.
Now, I'm going to give the Forest fans the benefit of the doubt and say that those boos are for the referee and not for Ange Postecoglou in his first home game.
Definitely for the referee after the decision he made. I feel it's a foul. I think it's a block and he's pulled him down. But Forest had all the ball, a lot of possession, but didn't really want to penetrate quick enough to get in behind Sunderland. Sunderland, brilliant 4-4-2 block, and keeping Forest out. But again, looking forward to an entertaining second half because now it's all about Forest trying to break them down again. Maybe get a couple of changes here. Gibbs-White, Hudson-Odoi coming on to maybe make something of a difference in the second half.
It's a really big second half. I don't want to give it too much emphasis because of course it's early, of course it's September, as the boos reach a crescendo again because the referee Tony Harrington and his two assistants are making their way over to the near touchline now. But it is a big second half in the sense that Forest are 6 games without a win, their longest run for the best part of 2 years without a win. They need something in these early stages of the season with all of these new signings to show that things are going in the right direction.
Yeah, of course you want to get momentum, you want to get continuity quickly, and you want to get a rhythm. But because there's a new manager change during the season and the amount of games, Andrew's probably not has had as much time to work with the team as what you'd want. But you have to find these solutions on the pitch. Your international players, your Premier League players, at times you have to find these solutions where to play and where to pass. But again, I think it's been a lot of the ball, but not really penetrating and playing as quick enough forward as what they can do for us. Sunderland have been brilliant away from home.
Mentioned it in that first half that Régis Labrie will be completely and utterly overjoyed with the perfect away performance so far in the first 45 minutes, and I said it towards the end of the first half, says that they don't feel comfortable because comfort breeds complacency. They don't look complacent. If anything, they do look comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable because they're organised, they're well drilled, they've got a good shape, and that's key to what they're doing. But comfortable in as in, like, you know, thinking they're better than what they are is, no, absolutely not. They know the Premier League is so quick, it's fast, and the game can change quickly. But you know, if you look at the two teams there, you know, Sunderland will be delighted with that away performance, but it's only 45 minutes.
More from Charlie Adam in the second half. The Nottinghamshire Cricket Club side are on the pitch, parading their Division 1 County Championship trophy, which they picked up yesterday, the first time they've won that in 15 years. Half-time here then, Nottingham Forest 0, Sunderland 1. During this half-time break, we'll have a listen to the latest Wayne Rooney podcast, the full episode now available on BBC Sounds. Wayne, Kelly Summers and Kay Kerr diving into the realities of playing away from home.
Because you'd have stadiums where you go to where you really like going to, and you normally score, and so you go into the game feeling really positive and confident. I used to have it at Aston Villa, Arsenal and Newcastle, were probably the three I used to really like going to and score goals. But then on the flip side, that you do have places. I remember going to Chelsea even when I started with Everton. I missed a penalty there when I was 17, and then with Man United, Mourinho was in, and it just felt like this is going to be so tough to get chances and score against them. So I just didn't like going there at all. So you do have ground you look forward to going to playing, and ones you're thinking, oh, let's just try and get through it.
It's kind of the same as a fan. When you're watching your team, Kay, you know, don't you? Like, you started rolling your eyes as soon as I said that, because you knew what I was saying. You knew what Man United's record at Brentford had been like lately.
Do you know what doesn't even bode well? We're wearing our new away kit at an early kickoff at Brentford, and the last time we did that, they put 4 past us. So it's not a good omen. It's not a good omen for us. It's a tough place to go anyway.
I think sometimes the change of managers is a big thing as well. I think I felt when Mourinho left Chelsea that it started to become a little bit easier for us to play against him. So and then with Mourinho, you look at his home record he had before he was at Chelsea, and he was always difficult to beat. So I think with Thomas Frank leaving in Brentford, it's different. I said it last
Is that
year.
a psychological aspect of it? So when Mourinho went, you were like, there's no more aura or whatever it is around the place.
Definitely. And I think with Thomas Frank not being there, I think Brentford are a little bit different this season. They've lost some of the bigger players. So yeah, I think and United coming off the win against Chelsea should be going there confident. So I'm fully expecting Man United to go there and get 3 points.
Do you think then that Ruben Amorim will even mention it, or will it be used this week as motivation for the players? Or as you said, it's so different at Brentford now, it is kind of irrelevant? You
have games where you remember things, and you know, I'm not sure it happened against Brentford last season, but you know, the team will be beating you by 3 or 4 goals, and the fans start holaying and stuff like that. It sticks in your mind because it's not nice, and your own personal pride comes into it as well, and so you do go back thinking, right, you want to show them, and so yeah, I think definitely the United players for sure anyway will be feeling they need to get.
How do you reckon Mbumo's going to do going back to his old club?
He looks like I don't know him, but he looks like the type of character who would be fine with it. I think he's been a real positive for Man United this season. I think his energy, his running off the ball, his commitment. He scored a couple of goals. He could have had more. So I've been really happy. I think he's been, out of all the signings, the most positive one, and he looks like someone who will just take it in the stride. So yeah, I think he'd be okay. It's not always easy when you go back.
The fans enjoying him so far, Kay?
Yeah, I think he's been a real bright spark. I've been really impressed with him. He's getting into the right positions. He's doing the right sort of things, and all you ask for as a fan is somebody that tries their best and gives it their all. That's why, especially at United, fans fall in love with players. When we can see that you're trying to do everything you can to help the team win, then we fall in love with you. But I was going to ask, Wayne, what was it like the first time when you went back to Everton when you were at United?
Yeah, it was horrible. Hated it. Just going out, obviously it's a ground I've been going to since I was a kid, a baby, and then to go back and walking into the stadium. I think I actually went to walk in the home dressing room.
That was my next question.
Yeah, I did. I went to walk in, and obviously went in the away dressing room and just warming up on the other side of the pitch, and it was mad. Yeah, and the sponsors who sponsored the game that day had to go with me because the fans, and even in the warm-up, were going at me, and so I come off the pitch, one side to the other side, just juggling the ball, and there was sponsors who go out on the pitch just before you finish the warm-up, and the Everton sponsors, and one of them was having a go at me there. So yeah, it weren't nice. I didn't enjoy it.
Did you change your preparations for games at Everton?
No, I didn't change my preparation, but it was hard knowing me dad, me uncles, my cousins are going to be in the stands in the Everton crowd, and my dad was. That was the game he wouldn't go to. He wouldn't go to it because obviously he knew I'd be getting a lot of stick, and he'd go to all the Everton games, and he wouldn't go to that one at Goodison. So we'd leave that. But like my cousins and uncles and that. Well, remember the FA Cup semi-final? There was 2 where Alex Ferguson actually left me out the squad. FA Cup semi-final. He rested us. There was a few of us. We had Champions League big game midweek, and there was me, Michael Carrick, and he played with a lot of the young players, which I thought was crazy, and we lost on penalties. And then under Van Gaal, we played Everton in the semi-final, and we scored a 90th minute winner, Andy Marshall, and everyone celebrated. I stayed back. I didn't celebrate. I was obviously delighted we got the final, but just knew I had family in the crowd, and we would be really upset because obviously wanted Everton to get the final. So yeah, I matured a little bit then. Early on I was celebrating stuff, but when you get a bit older you start thinking a bit more.
Were you angry when you were left out?
Yeah, I was fuming.
Did you tell the manager?
Yeah, of course. FA Cup semi-final, at that time I'd never won the FA Cup, and then we lose on penalties. Yeah, I was absolutely fuming. There was the League Cup final as well, against Aston Villa. He left me on the bench. Again, it was when we were going deep into the Champions League games, and he obviously wanted to win that more than the League Cup, so he rested us. And I come on actually in the first half in the League Cup and scored the winner. Come on for Michael Owen, who got injured. But yeah, them games, that's what you play football for, not to be sat out and rested.
Did you prioritise certain games more than others? Like if it was a Champions League game, would you rather play that over a League Cup game?
I wanted to play every game, and I always think if you start the games and you can try and get 2 or 3 up, you can come off and rest the last 20 minutes or whatever. But I wanted to play every game, and obviously there was certain players who maybe a little bit older and it would catch up with them a bit more. But yeah, I wanted to play every game, and the manager knew that, and he knew as well if I was coming back from an injury or in pre-season. I used to want to play every game in pre-season. So yeah, it is difficult when you've got a player, because the manager does have to try and manage that, because it's not easy. But yeah, I wanted everyone.
Wayne, bringing it back round to bogey grounds, if we're going to call them that. You've mentioned Chelsea already. Were there any other grounds that you didn't like playing at?
Yeah, I hated Anfield.
Oh yeah, we've mentioned that a few times.
Yeah, I just hated going there. But
any others?
Not really. Stoke was always nasty. Blackpool, used to go to Stoke, and it was always freezing and windy, and throwing long balls into the box, and the fans were horrible. In Blackpool, someone spat in my face when I come off and sat on the bench. Someone spat in my face. Yeah, one of the Blackpool fans.
Yeah, when that happened, what was your reaction?
It's not nice when someone spits in your face. But yeah, no, I was fuming. I think if he was a bit closer and I could have got to him, I probably would have went and done something stupid and reacted to it, because I think it's such a disgusting thing to do. You've seen players doing it, and I think it was Suarez maybe a couple of weeks ago in the States doing it. I think it's such a disgusting thing to do.
So weird, isn't it? What goes through your head?
To spit on someone is not nice at all. Yeah, so yeah, I weren't happy, that's for sure.
Was that the worst thing a fan ever did to you?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Doesn't get much worse than that.
I had a few songs sung about me as well at times. Yeah, I actually liked the Streck one. I thought that was a good one.
When it's a bit tongue-in-cheek and a player plays along with it, I think the fans appreciate that as well. Like, I remember when I saw James Maddison, they were chanting against him, and then he sort of clapped the fans, and they sort of everyone laughed along with it.
But then I always think that then the fans know that the players, like, they've got in his head a little bit, or at least he's thinking about it? Do you know what I mean? Like, I always think it's better when the players ignore it.
It depends what it is. But I seen them had someone, it was when he was taking the corner, wasn't it? He put it outside the corner flag on purpose, outside the little area on purpose, and he was winding the fans up. But yeah, I think stuff like that is no harm. But I think when it goes really personal, and you're hearing, singing about someone's mother or the wife or children, whatever, I think when that goes too far then. But yeah, it's, as players, we have to try and just be professional and try and blank it out.
I also get the feeling, Wayne, that if you went to a ground and they really sang at you, you probably thrived on it, and it just riled you up even more to play better. Yeah,
you get on with it, and if you win, then you can walk off with a smirk on your face, whatever. And then, so yeah, you just got to try and get through it, and when our fans, whoever, whether Everton or United or whatever, they sing to opposition players as well. So it's all fans do it. Every group of set of fans does it. Sometimes it oversteps the mark, and then you just hope then the right action is taken.
That is Wayne Rooney there, talking on the Wayne Rooney podcast on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Welcome back to the City Ground. Charlie Slater alongside Charlie Adam for you for the second half as Nottingham Forest trail at home to Sunderland. They are going to make a change at the break. Morgan Gibbs-White, club captain, is stripped and ready to come on. Charlie Adam, no real surprise that Ange Postecoglou has looked towards his bench, needing a response.
No, he needs quality, and that's what Gibbs-White's done. He's got the armband on. He's the talisman. He's the one that can make things happen. It's been a wee bit laboured at times in terms of the passing and the moving, and they want to get that real quality on the pitch. So it'll be interesting to see him go and play alongside, Elliot Anderson, or does he go with that three in midfield?
Well, Nicolas Dominguez is nowhere to be seen, so perhaps the last meaningful thing that he's done in this game is be booked for simulation in the build-up to the Sunderland goal. A difficult comeback for the lad who's only just returning from a knee injury and hasn't played since May time.
Yeah, and again, sometimes that happens, and you don't feel that you can affect the game in the Premier League, and the speed of the game is a lot quicker than you impose. But maybe the booking is something that Andrew's looking at and thinking, we can't afford to take a risk and chase the game, and we end up down at 10. So not a bad replacement to come on, is it?
Not really. Nottingham Forest and England start Morgan Gibbs-White. So the Forest lineup in this second half will be Matt Sells in goal, a back four of Williams, Milenkovic, Morato and Zinchenko. In midfield, Anderson and Gibbs-White, along with McAtee, and then on the flanks, Ndoye and Bakwa, with Chris Wood up front. The Sunderland players have just made their way back out onto the pitch as the City Ground again bursts into song. That's Sunderland 11 unchanged from the first 45, as you'd expect. Robin Root in goal, a back four of Hume, Mukiele, Alderetta the goal scorer, and Masuaku. A midfield three of Xhaka, Rigg and Siddiqui, with the front three of Talbi, who was quiet in the first half, Lefay and Wilson Isidore. Nottingham Forest are kicking from right to left in this second half, attacking the Trent end, dressed in red and white, as the referee Tony Harrington, who hasn't really endeared himself to the good people of Nottingham in that first 45 minutes, blows his whistle, gets us back underway, and Sunderland, kicking from left to right in blue and white, will look to snuff out an early attack, which they've done, and it'll be a goal kick.
Forest changed the shape. They've gone with that 4-3-3. They've gone three in midfield, Vance and sitting McAtee on the right hand side and Gibbs-White off the left. So more of an attacking threat now from Forest, instead of having that two-hole midfield. There's only having one now, so they get somebody closer. Even now with the goal kicks, they're pushing players forward to really engage Sunderland at the top end of the pitch now.
All of the pictures at half-time on the monitors here in the press box were showing various different cutaways of a frustrated and angry looking Ange Postecoglou. You wonder quite what he said to his team at half-time. Here we are on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra with Elliot Anderson on the ball. It's the former Scotland international Charlie Adam alongside me. Dylan Bakwa picks it up 10 yards inside of Sunderland territory, and an important 45 minutes in front of Forest and Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, well, again, if I was the manager of Nottingham Forest at half-time, I'd be saying I want to see more energy, more enthusiasm in possession and out of possession. Can we move the ball quicker? Because they've not done that enough, and they've not done it with speed. You know, when Sunderland have got into that 4-4-2 block, it's just allowed them to play around and not really paid with any purpose. So again, good start from Nottingham Forest here now. They're attacking down that right-hand side, got a corner.
Nico Williams has done brilliantly, because he's had 2, if not 3 blue shirts on him the entire time there in the bottom corner, and he's twisted and turned and weaved his way into winning Forest their first corner of the second half, their 4th for the match, and it'll be another in-swinger from Dylan Bakwa on the far side as Forest kick from right to left. And listen to the noise here at the City Ground. Here comes the ball, it curls comfortably into the goalkeeper's gloves.
That is the worst situation you can have. You get a corner and your goalie comes and collects it. What a pass.
And it's an incredible pass from the goalkeeper that's released Isidore inside the Forest penalty area. In the blink of an eye he hits it, blocked by Milenkovic. Comes out in the direction of Siddiqui, right-footed ball bending into the penalty area, headed back by Wood, now towards Hume, who shoots speculatively from 25 yards out, straight at a Forest defender. And that is some distribution a moment ago from the Dutch goalkeeper wearing the Sunderland number 22.
Yeah, it's a lovely left foot, half pace, drilled right over the top for Isidore. Again, his one thought is when he comes inside, I want to shoot. He wants to get on his right hand side and get his shot off, and he did that, but it was a good block from the defender.
So Forest have made one change at half-time. Morgan Gibbs-White is now in the midfield, playing the attacking midfield role that he so often does. Elliot Anderson dropping into that holding position, as is James McAtee at the moment, but you'd think McAtee has more freedom to get up in support of Gibbs-White, his teammate. Big aerial collision on the far side of the ground between Siddiqui and Williams. Sunderland have it on the halfway line. Surveys his options, it's now Masuaku. Turns it onto that left touch line, and Sunderland will want a slightly more paced out start to the second half. No need for any of the frenetic energy that Nottingham Forest will want to instill into this game.
No, again, you know, Reduce will be saying to the team, you know that they're going to come out second half with good energy, good tempo and good pace to the play and speed, and we need to match that. We have to be ready for them, and we have to be on that front foot if we can, but both teams have started on the front foot.
Yeah, and Nico Williams might now be the first Forest player into the referee's notebook. He is, as Noah Siddiqui got away from him down the Sunderland left, the Forest right, in behind, approaching the edge of the penalty area. The Welsh international had no real choice other than to pull him down, so a yellow card for Williams and a free kick for Sunderland, about 8 or 9 yards away from the corner of the 18-yard box. Another good chance for Regis Lebris's side to trouble Matt Sells and that Forest defence.
He's done really well, Siddiqui, tonight so far. Again, 1v1 with Williams there, caused him a problem. And now all of a sudden Williams is on a booking, so it's now the opposite. 2 full-backs of Sunderland on bookings. Can you also now see that Forest? Can you get your wide players 1v1 for that one moment that you can go by and maybe get a foul, and ultimately can get you an opposition player, you know, sent off, and then you become down to 10 men.
Xhaka, left-footed low ball into the area, not cleared away, falls to Masuaku, now in the direction of Talbi, who hits it with his left foot, and it deflects wildly. Could have gone anywhere, and much to Matt Sells' relief, it went behind for a corner kick. 4 minutes gone in the second half. Sunderland still leading by 1-0, but still showing a threat.
Yeah, it wasn't a great ball from Xhaka, but poor defending from Bakwa at the front post area. He doesn't deal with it well, tries to chest it but volley it, and it goes, and it nearly hits Chris Wood off the hip and into the goal, but it goes wide for a corner.
Left-footed in-swinger from Xhaka, punched away by Sells to Rigg, hits it first time, another wicked deflection. This time it balloons up in the air and drops gracefully into the gloves of Sells.
Yeah, there's a real tempo now to Forest display. They're trying to get this crowd, you know, moving.
It's a great atmosphere when the going is good here in Nottingham, as McAtee, left-footed, bends one into the penalty area, stoops low to Xhaka and heads it clear, and Forest have it again with the recently booked Williams. Now backward, left-footed, cross into the 6-yard box again, finds Roof's gloves, and if you could just hear what sounded like boos there in the background, they aren't. Those are the Sunderland supporters chanting the name of Robin Roofs.
Yeah, he's done really well. He's a couple of decent passes, isn't he, for a goalkeeper. One in the first half, I can remember, in his box. right into the forward.
Yeah, Siddiqui when it split the midfield.
Beautiful pass, and then over the top to Isidore. So a talented goalkeeper. As you see now, a lot of goalkeepers, a lot of managers want their goalkeepers to be able to play with their feet and use that extra man when in the build-up, and he looks really comfortable with the ball at his feet.
Only 22 years old. We played 6 minutes of the second half, and Nottingham Forest continue to trail by a 1-0 at home to newly promoted Sunderland, who are exceeding all expectations so far, which can only be good for the competitive nature of the Premier League. And Ndoye has it for Forest on the left wing, scoops it as if using a lob wedge to steal a golf analogy on this golfing weekend with the Ryder Cup live now on BBC Radio 5 Live. Sunderland come away with it, and the natives are restless. The home supporters here starting to grow increasingly frustrated, Charlie.
Exactly what Sunderland want them, isn't it? As the manager and as a player, you could feel it, you smell it yourself when you're coming to a place like this, a bit of an underdog. You get through that first 45 minutes. Now you'll be saying to the manager, can we get past that first 15 minutes of the second half? And you have your little periods within the game. The groans will come, the subs will come. We don't want to give this Nottingham Forest crowd and players any opportunity to get back and get momentum on the side, so we have to use that, and that is by being comfortable with the ball, but also again not being over and exuberant and trying to play. But lovely play for Alderete stepping in there.
Marauds out of defence, and with the outside of his boot finds the on-running Talbi into the penalty area. He's got Morato in front of him. He's forced out onto the left wing, wheels around and plays it back to Enzo Lefebvre. That's wonderful football though from Omar Alderete. He's the man that gave Sunderland the goal towards the end of the first half, and Sunderland attack again. Poor ball this time, low into the ground and into the feet of Morato from Talbi. And the coaching staff inside the Forest dugout,
I think they're looking to make a sub now.
They're starting to look twitchy, aren't they?
Yeah, I just think they want to try and get a bit of momentum, a bit of energy within the team. They're trying to play around the back at the moment, and there's no real outgoing. For me, they have to try and get one of the centre midfielders or one of the eights to try and get out the opposite side, and that's where they'll be able to play, especially against a 4-4-2. You can get your winger to play high or inside, full back to come inside to maybe take the full winger back, and then you can get your 8 out. But at the moment they're trying to play straight lines, Nottingham Forest,
and they can't get out. 3 minutes past the 50 mark have been played in the early stages of this second half. Nottingham Forest 0, Sunderland 1. Forest still looking for a first 3 points under Ange Postecoglou, and they're not going the right way about it. Warming up with some energy to him down the left touchline. Away to our left is Callum Hudson-Odoi. Meanwhile, on the right wing, Delane Bakwa has the ball, tries to jink his way past Masuaku, doesn't do so. Siddiqui's back there as well, always seems to pop up in the right areas and buys a cheap free kick. The sort of free kick that you see given to defenders all the time when they stick themselves between ball and man and hit the deck.
If you're a coach, if you're Ange, you're frustrated, but if you're the Sunderland manager, you're delighted. It's lovely play, good using your brain, tactically trying to get some moments, and now Sunderland Forest are going to make a sub.
Igor Jesus, who has scored 4 goals and is Forest's top goal scorer this season. However, all 4 goals have come in cup competitions. From his 2 starts, there was some debate. It was really all the debate amongst Forest fans before this game. Would it be Jesus or would it be Wood who got the nod for the start here this evening? He went with the experienced hand of Chris Wood, but now Igor Jesus is bouncing up and down on the touchline and ready to see if he can impact this game, just like he impacted the early stages in Seville against Real Betis on Wednesday evening. It's a Sunderland throw-in on the left wing, who are handling this atmosphere, this crowd, and the tempo of the first 10 minutes of this second half really well.
Yeah, they've done really well second half. But again, with that 4-2-3-1 press and allowing themselves to be able to play through round Chris Wood.
That's a free kick for Forest, though, 5 yards inside of their own half, as Trey Hume caught Elliot Anderson. No complaints that time from the Sunderland lad, and it'll be a Forest free kick. Sunderland also preparing a couple of changes, with Lucharao Hetruda stripped and ready to come on, as is Bertrand Traore. But meanwhile, Forest continue with the ball. Zinchenko 15 yards inside of the Sunderland half. Square pass for Morgan Gibbs-White. it feels like that's the first time I've seen him touch the ball. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not taken 11 second half minutes for Morgan Gibbs-White to get a touch, but it certainly feels like it as he plays a 1-2 with Zinchenko but doesn't get it back again as Hume robs it away for Sunderland, and now Wilson Isidore sprints over the halfway line. He is a one-man fast break, still going. McAtee though goes to ground and just nicks it away from him. Callum Hudson-Odoi is also stripped and ready to come on for Nottingham Forest, so a double change ready for both teams as the atmosphere continues to crank up here on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. 11 minutes played in this second half. James McAtee, ball through the lines for Bakwa, turns it onto the right wing for Nico Williams, closed down, his cross is blocked and it goes out for a Forest throw, but there's urgency and they want to take it quickly and do.
Yeah, it looks like McAtee's struggling after that tackle on Isidore, but again want to try and get momentum, trying to get good energy into the team. That's a poor pass from Williams, but yeah, like you say, but Gibbs-White's not really had a kick of the ball yet and not really influenced it as much as what Ange would have wanted, but good opportunity to get Jesus and Hudson-Odoi. You know what Hudson-Odoi is, 1v1, he's direct, he's got pace and he's got a goal in him. Jesus is on the back of scoring 2 goals in midweek and he's in good form, but it's tough coming from Europe into a Saturday game, you know.
McAtee's going to hit this from 30 yards, blocked by Rigg. Now to Milenkovic going.
It's tough, especially if you're not used to it, for a lot of these Forest players, so you have to get used to it over the season.
Williams crossed into the area and there's Roofs again. He is the king in his 6-yard box. Nobody comes anywhere near him. There is a Sunderland player down, I think it's Mukiele, and Roofs will kick it out so that his centre half can receive some treatment. This will also mean that all of the substitutions can take place, but really impressed by Robbie Roofs so far. Every time the ball goes anywhere near him, there's only one man catching it.
No, and again, we talk about away performance, that's what you want your goalkeeper, come and take the pressure off the defenders, being able to get up, come and take catches, and ultimately for the moment that 8-second rule is a killer as a goalkeeper, but he's commanded his box well, he's dominant, and he's been a good player, he's done well so far.
The Sunderland changes, we'll see Masuaku, who is on a yellow card. He was the one change that came in for the suspended Reinildo, make way along with Chris Rigg. It'll be Lucharel Hetrauda who comes on, and Bertrand Traoré. Over the other side of the halfway line, Igor Jesus continues to try and stay warm. His left wrist heavily bandaged, I think more for show than injury. Scored a lot of goals, Igor Jesus, that drew the attention of Nottingham Forest in his native Brazil for Botafogo. Forest scouts seem to quite like what they see from Botafogo players. They've signed quite a few of them.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it a few moments ago, Charlie Adam, James McAtee looked like he was struggling a little bit, so he'll be withdrawn. The other player to come off, Dan Ndoye, to be replaced by Igor Jesus. So this will be interesting to see Chris Wood and Jesus on the pitch at the same time.
Yeah, 4-4-2, isn't it? Anderson and Gibbs-White, it's 2 6s. Hudson-Odoi come and play on this left hand side, and let's see how he is getting 1v1 situations as much as we can, trying to roll him the ball and getting at the fullback.
Well, Forest didn't like the fact that they had to give the ball back to Sunderland, but they have done. And Elliot Anderson goes for a ride over the back of Xhaka. It looks a really painful one, the sort that could end up winding a player. The referees let play continue, but Anderson is still down and not moving a great deal. And so Tony Harrington now does say, let's stop and see if the medical team can come on to make sure that their prized midfield asset, Elliot Anderson, is indeed okay.
Yeah, he's, like you say, coming over the top of it, winded himself. The referee's done well, but it's good to get for Forest. They want to keep the momentum, they don't want to break, they want to try and get an energy into the team, and that's why he's made 2 subs, getting Jesus up top with Chris Wood, but Anderson's landed on his back there. It's a tough one, sore one.
We've played an hour. Sunderland continue to lead from their 37th minute goal, and Alderete header, his first in, I would say, the red and white of Sunderland, but the blue and white because they're away from home this evening. The 5 Live Ryder Cup coverage continues now on BBC Radio 5 Live. We are into the 4-ball sessions, and just like the rest of this year's Ryder Cup, it continues to go quite brilliantly for Luke Donald's Europe. They are 2 up in one match, 1 up in another, and tied in the other 2. It's Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry who are 2 up against Justin Thomas and Cameron Young, and John Rahm and Sepp Straka who are 1 up against the American pair of JJ Spawn and Xander Schauffele. Full coverage continues on BBC Radio 5 Live. Later on 5 Sports Extra, we've got rugby league commentary, Leeds Rhinos against St Helens. Long ball back for Sells, and it just bobbles up at him awkwardly. Even the simple things not really going Forest's way at the minute. And as they look to clear down the left wing, Callum Hudson-Odoi sees it nicked away from him by Gertruda. And out for another Forest throw. Less than half an hour remains then, Charlie Adam.
Yeah, again, Sunderland looking in that 4-4-2, just letting Nottingham Forest have the ball. But Sells didn't look comfortable when it went back to him there to that left-hand side. He nearly got caught, but Sunderland and Isidore and Lafayette, has changed that. Lafayette's come as like a sort of second striker now instead of playing off a side, but it's now up to Forest to try and open the game up, and that's, let's say, getting Hudson-Odoi, getting back with a 1v1 and trying to make things happen. Gibbs White wanting to get on the ball. Can you penetrate? Can you look forward? What they don't want is like this, Jesus dropping in front of midfielders, because that does nothing. He's a striker. Get on that back line and threaten the back line to try and get as many players on that back line as much as you can of Forest against there. And again,
far too straight, isn't it, from Morgan Gibbs White? It runs out of space, skips away, he's trying to find Williams, but that's never going to do it.
And that's just, all that is a good shape, good organisation from Sunderland, and Gibbs White forcing that pass that was never on.
Well, Ange Postecoglou stands almost statuesque. You can almost always assume that either his arms are folded or he's unhappy with something, and his arms are stretched out wide with his palms facing an ever increasingly darkening sky over the City ground. Header up into the air from Mukiele, the Sunderland centre half, and Forest have it. For the very first time, with a bit of space for Callum Hudson-Odoi on the left wing, a right-footed cross. He's headed away out to Gibbs White, bit of space, left-footed on the half volley, deflected and dribbles behind for a corner kick, and the Forest crowd roar.
Yeah, better from Gibbs White on the edge of the box, picking up the second ball, get a shot off.
It'll be Hudson-Odoi who'll come across and bend a ball into the penalty area with that wicked wand of a right foot of his. Again, the 6-yard box looks incredibly crowded. Zinchenko is offering a short corner. He might be tempted because they would have a 2-on-1, but he's not, as he whips it in instead. The keeper has to punch it off his line, and then Gibbs White tries the acrobatic overhead kick that was never going to threaten the goal. What might have threatened it, though, was the presence of a Forest player directly in front of the Dutch goalkeeper. But again, he dealt with that physically very well indeed. He's only 22 years old.
No, he done really well there, Roofs there, but back was backing into him, and he does well to get a hand to it, to get a fist to it, punch it away, and then Gibbs White doing overhead kick. But it's a lovely ball in from Hudson-Odoi into that front post area. I think he could have been offside.
Ange Postecoglou looking for a first win as Forest manager, looking for a first Premier League win anywhere. For 10 matches he ended with Spurs, started with Forest, 9 Premier League games without a win. Time pressing for the Australian as Bakwa takes it away down the right wing, but runs down I'd say a dark alley, but Sunderland are wearing blue, so let's call it a blue one, as Forest feel blue at the moment. Just can't really impress themselves on the game. Starting to put a bit more pace, and that's everything that you called towards the end of the first half, Charlie Adam, and in the early stages of the second half. More pace into their play as Hudson-Odoi turns it back towards Elliot Anderson, right-footed, rifles one in towards the near post. Roofs gets down low and pushes it behind with a giant glove for another corner.
Yeah, good play. Anderson wrapping a pass out to Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi cuts inside, gets blocked, falls to Anderson on the edge of the box, and he tries to pull it into the front post, but Roofs does well to get down with his right hand and put it behind for the goal.
Hudson-Odoi's right-footed ball flicked away by Mukiele, the Sunderland centre-half. Another cross into the penalty area, headed up in the air by Milenkovic first time, then it bounces on the edge of the 6-yard box. Morato gets a touch, almost falls kindly for Bakwa, but just as he was about to fire home, it's smashed clear by a Sunderland defender. All hands on deck at the back.
Yeah, good defender from Sunderland, getting your body in, blocks, good box defending, but now again Nottingham Forest coming back at them. A little bit more life to Nottingham Forest now.
66 minutes on the clock. Sunderland still leading by 1-0. That one coming 8 minutes before time in the first half. Callum Hudson-Odoi, collar up a la Eric Cantona on the left wing. Right wrist bandaged. Plays it back to Morgan Gibbs-White. Right foot chips it to Anderson, who in turn chips it into the penalty area. Headed away, headed down by Gibbs-White in the direction of Hudson-Odoi. And quickly hurried behind for yet another corner kick, which has been taken quickly. Anderson in space, edge of the area, right footed just over the top of the crossbar.
Yeah, don't mind it. Get your hand on and play. Look, he said dog's gone mad at the defence not getting out. But it's good play from Nottingham Forest. Hudson-Odoi into Shinchenko, into Anderson on the edge of the box, and he wasn't really trying to bend it in the top corner. Garcia probably could have just whipped it to the back post for the big boys to go and attack, but tried to lead by example and taking that shot on.
And he's got it in his locker. I mean, he's not known for his goals, but my goodness, he's
normally a cracker if he does score a goal, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. His first Forest goal was here at the City Ground against Southampton in the early stages of this year, and he ran onto that one from around 20-25 yards and buried it in the corner, giving the keeper no chance. So he has it in his locker. Of course, made his England debut earlier this month. 2 games, 2 man of the match awards. Not bad going. And I suppose there's a long, treacherous ball back to Roofs. But as with everything else this evening, the keeper deals with that with plenty of composure, steers the play away up towards the halfway line, but immediately back to a red boot again, and Forest will come through the middle of the pitch this time. Dylan Backwell receives a through ball from Gibbs-White, still going, pinballing between a couple of Sunderland players. Backwell hits it from 16 yards, low down to the keeper's left, makes the save.
Yeah, good play from Forest, keeping that energy and that quality at the top end. Backwell cutting inside, a little bit of a ricochet, but he just didn't really get enough power behind that shot. But you could feel something coming from this Nottingham Forest team now. They're starting to get a few chances, corners, half chances. Now it's important that they don't switch off, and one long ball at the top end of the pitch does them. So they're definitely well in this game.
Well, they nearly played themselves into a bit of a hole, but the composure and strength of Granit Xhaka gets them out of it again in the defensive midfield position. Finds Talby on the left wing, who breaks towards the penalty area. Now Isidore turns to the edge of the 18-yard box. Plenty of time, plenty of space for Sunderland to try and pick out a shot. And now here comes that shot, left-footed. Traore, a good diving save down to the right from Matt Sells, and Sunderland just showing enough there, Charlie Adam, to keep Nottingham Forest honest.
Yeah, good little play. Lafay, just little tricks and sliding Traore there on the inside, but he just never got enough on his shot. But dangerous on the counter attack, Nottingham Forest.
End-to-end stuff at the moment. Like the old basketball game adage that you'll find in the commentator's great glossary of commentary on the Commentator's View podcast that you can hear on BBC Sounds. And BBC Sounds is really the place to be. It's where it comes into its own on a weekend like this, with so much live sport. On there you can listen to full uninterrupted commentary from the Ryder Cup at Bethpage. Later tonight on 5 Sports Extra we've got Leeds Rhinos against St Helens, and then tomorrow on 5 Live you'll find commentary in the early part of the afternoon on Premier League Sunday of Aston Villa against Fulham, and then on 5 Sports Extra it'll be Newcastle against Arsenal, because on 5 Live you will find again the Ryder Cup, the final day's singles, as Amari Hutchinson, Nottingham Forest all-time record signing, who joined for around £38 million from Ipswich Town earlier this summer, is about to come on as well. Ange Postecoglou's got plenty of options on the bench, but he's fast running out of them.
Yeah, he's got some good talent within his squad, doesn't he? Young English talent that have done really well in the Euros for England under 21s, winning that tournament. But he done well for Ipswich, even though they got relegated. He was probably the star player, and he got his move. So now, a big club like Forest, can he really go and show his talent, what he's got? Sunderland
have it again with a right-footed cross into the penalty area that's headed away by Morato. Forest have it back on the right wing, in the right full-back position, as Nico Williams takes a couple of touches. It's now with Milenkovic, who squares it to Morato, edge of his penalty area, and down the left wing for Callum Hudson-Odoi. In all of the substitutions, Trey Hume has switched from right full-back to left full-back, with Lusharal Hertruder playing in the right full-back position, and down that right wing as well is Bertrand Traore. Forest in red and white, kicking from right to left. Morgan Gibbs-White tries to find Callum Hudson-Odoi, doesn't do so. Frustration abound everywhere, and that moment there between two players that you expect their utmost quality from kind of sums up Forest's night.
Yeah, it's not great execution, but it's the right area, it's the right pass for Gibbs-White, trying to switch the play, just didn't execute it well. But you know, he's not had much football, has he, Hutchinson, since he's come to Nottingham Forest. Only 90 minutes against Swansea, so you know, it's and just needing a wee bit more energy to the top end of the pitch at that side, so see what he can bring.
Dylan Bakwa is the man withdrawn to allow Amari Hutchinson just shy of 20 minutes. It'll be a little bit more than that once you factor in stoppage time, to look to try and change the game, to look to make his mark at his new club. Throw-in meanwhile taken by Sunderland, just in front of where Postecoglou stands at the moment, almost in a superhero pose, broad-shouldered, sleeves rolled up, now shoves his hands into his pockets and watches his Forest side edge ever closer into Sunderland territory. They continue to trail by 1-0. Hudson-Odoi has it on the left wing, closed down by Traore, still going, dancing from his left foot to his right. Zinchenko inverted into the midfield at the moment, a square pass for Milenkovic. Williams, now a first touch for Hutchinson on the right wing. He's got two blue shirts in front of him. He still manages to squeeze the cross into the penalty area. Chris Wood and Igor Jesus were attacking the same ball. Hudson-Odoi sees his pass cleared away by Traore. It'll be a Forest throw-in.
Yeah, good play, good penetrative run from Hutchinson. Gets his man 1v1, goes on the outside and crosses with right foot. And Mukeel does really well with that header, just to flick it away from Chris Wood and Jesus. Again, Hutchinson.
Yeah, it's scooped away from him by Talby on this occasion. Gives it to Hume. Hume, lots of composure, too much composure, had his pocket picked. One shot from Jesus, back towards Hutchinson. Saved by the goalkeeper. Now Gibbs-White shovels it in the direction of Nico Williams. Turns on the edge of the penalty area. Now down the right wing towards the byline. He's forced away by two Sunderland players. Mukiele over there again makes a big challenge and celebrates it like he scored a goal. It's his defensive partner Alderete that's done that for Sunderland, but more defensive work now. Great save from Robin Roofs. Igor Jesus' glancing, flicking header almost found the far corner of the net. End-to-end stuff as Forest have it again. Traore wrestled to the ground. Forest have it back inside the final 20 minutes of the game. Here's Hudson-Odoi on the left wing for Forest. Right-footed, pokes it towards Gibbs-White, lays it off for Anderson. Straight at the goalkeeper.
Yeah, brilliant from Forest. Good interplay. Comes from Hutchinson, shifting the ball onto his left foot, delivering a cross. And then again keeping momentum. Anderson driving back, but winning a foul, and then all of a sudden lovely touch from Gibbs-White to the edge of the box, and Anderson, lovely straight back goalkeeper. Two brilliant saves.
In case of emergency, break glass and release Dan Ballard. That is kind of Sunderland's approach. It certainly was in the playoffs, and here he comes now to add a bit more aerial presence and steel to that Sunderland back line. So Dan Ballard will come on.
5-4-1.
And it's Enzo Lefebvre who will make way. You say 5-4-1?
Yeah, just go slot into that centre back position on the right hand side. Go with 5-4 in midfield and leave Isidore up at the top end of the pitch for the counter attack, because he's got pace, he can run in behind. But Xhaka will just go and sit beside Sadike. There he is, big fella, just going on that right hand side.
Well, Robin Roofs has a very, very good claim to be man of the match. He's made a brilliant save there from Amari Hutchinson, made an excellent save from the glancing Jesus header as well, and then was in the right place at the right time from Elliot Anderson's rocket from around 20 yards just a few moments ago. A busy 3 or 4 minutes for the Dutch goalkeeper, and it ain't over yet. 15 minutes remain on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Forest trailing by 1-0. Coming again now for the equaliser as Hudson-Odoi's shot's blocked. Roofs comes out, this time he misses it. Woods backing in on the edge of the 6-yard box and goes down. Huge shouts for a penalty from the fans, not really from the players. Play continues.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's much in it, but again, goalkeeper coming for it, probably doesn't have to come for it. Woods putting his body there in the area, and he fluffs it a punch, but they managed to get away, Sunderland.
It's the first time that Roofs has put a foot wrong all afternoon. Callum Hudson-Odoi, 2 yards outside of the Sunderland penalty area on the left wing. A chipped right-footed ball into the box is cleared. Only as far as Morgan Gibbs-White, though, who's directly outside of the D on the edge of the box. The referee continues to get in the way, so apologises to Zinchenko, who still manages to find Hudson-Odoi. Left-footed, chipped ball, back post looking for Nico Williams. Didn't find anybody, but Hutchinson will retrieve, and it is one-way traffic of the highest order here. It's as if they're playing on a tilted table. Everything is flowing in the direction of Roof's goal.
Yeah, but they just have to wait. They just have to organise themselves, have the good shape, good distance between the back line, the middle of the pitch and the top line, and then ultimately when the momentum changes, the momentum will change. Maybe a counter-attack, but you can't get away silly fouls like that.
It is from Mukiele. Anderson went down. Free kick it'll be about 8 yards outside of the Sunderland penalty area, and maybe equidistance in from this near touchline the Forest left as they kick from right to left in front of us.
Yeah, opportunity now for Zinchenko to deliver a good quality ball in there.
Forest have had 4 attempts on target in the last 15 minutes of this game. They didn't manage a single attempt on target in the first hour. Here is Alexander Zinchenko. His left-footed cross will look to pick out one of those big men in the box. Jesus, who can hang in the air for an ungodly time. Morato, Wood and Milenkovic, all targets wearing the red and white of Forest as they desperately look for an equaliser. They've been trailing since the 37th minute. Here comes that cross, really disappointing from a Forest perspective. Doesn't effectively beat the man at the near post.
No, it's a poor delivery from Zinchenko. He's angry with himself there. But when you've got that opportunity to go and deliver it, you need to put it into an area where the big boys can go and attack it. Again, Xhaka picking up second balls, brilliant.
Right place, right time. It's not a coincidence. It is certainly all about the skill, the reading of the game of the very experienced Granit Xhaka, who's 33 years old today. He made that goal in the first half beautifully with the cross. Forest will be annoyed that it was a free kick in the first place, and that there might well have been a block at the back post that VAR didn't pick up. You can judge yourself. BBC One, match of the day, 10:30 tonight, where Morgan Gibbs-White might look to put his name in lights, lifts the ball to the back post. Somehow Hume gets a touch on it, lifts it up in the air, and now there's a collision in the box between Alderete and I think Nico Williams. Referee's going to have to stop the game because it might well have been a collision that's involved, if not Alderete's head, but certainly Nico Williams' head.
Yeah, it's caught him in the shoulder, isn't it, in his face, so any head knock with it, you have to stop the play quick as quick as you can, but I definitely don't think it's a penalty.
78 minutes on the clock. Morgan Gibbs-White, Nikola Milenkovic, Elliot Anderson in the referee's ear at the moment. They're protesting that it should be. We're watching a replay. Both men have eyes for the ball.
Yeah, both are going to try and win the ball. Alderete goes and wins it, but Williams comes off worse than that. But
he's just the bigger man there, the Sunderland defender, isn't he?
Yeah, he's dominant. To be fair, he's played well tonight so far. Stepped in really well, had a couple of nice passes, been aggressive, 1v1 situation, because Wood is a handful, and the two centre-backs have dealt with Wood really well so far.
Never out of the game though, the former Newcastle man. How he would love to score against Sunderland. How Newcastle would love Chris Wood to score against Sunderland. You know how that goes. Little over 10 minutes remaining at the end of this game on BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. There's Rugby League to follow later on this evening from around 7:45. Leeds Rhinos against St Helens. Ball down the left touchline again for Hudson-Odoi to chase after. Did well to keep it in, and will win his side a throw-in after his cross is smashed. Anywhere will do approach from Nordi Mukiele.
Yeah, it's all hands to the deck now with Forest. Got Sunderland cramped in their own box. Now it's important that they have real quality when they get to the wide areas. Hudson, brilliant play.
Lovely step over, leaves his man for dead. Right-footed ball, Chris Wood meets it. First time save, comes back to him, knocks it up into the air. Elliot Anderson challenges. Sunderland will ride their luck, but clear it away again. Excellent wing play from Amari Hutchinson. That's why they spent so much money on him.
Yeah, brilliant play from Hutchinson. Going and attack 1v1, hangs it up, and again Chris Wood, but the goalkeeper's there. Lovely saving from the goalkeeper it was.
Attempted clearance from Hume. It doesn't just double ricochet, it triple ricochets. Back to Hutchinson, left footed cross. Chris Wood should score. He's put it wide. It's the sort of chance that you saw the New Zealand talisman bury week after week after week last season. It is Forest's best opportunity of the game. It floored Ange Postecoglou. He cannot believe that Chris Wood hasn't buried that header. It's the perfect cross. He's unmarked, 6 yards out. The goal is at his mercy. It's a goal kick.
Yeah, Norman, that's Chris Wood's bread and butter, isn't it? But again, positive from Hutchinson. Cuts back on that left-hand side, lovely ball, and Chris Wood runs off the back of McKeel, and he goes free header. He's got to score. He'd be really disappointed, and even Ange got floored with that one.
He lives and breathes and heads and kicks every single ball, doesn't he, Ange Postecoglou? He knows the significance of an evening like this. It's early days in his tenure, but there's always pressure. 4 matches he started away from home, 4 without a win. The first manager to do that since 1930. That's going to be a Sunderland throw-in around midway up the touchline inside of the Forest half. And Régis Lebris, who we've barely spoken about, and maybe he does deserve, in fact, no maybe about it, more recognition and more attention, tells all of his players to slow down and calm down.
Yeah, you have to. This is it. You're in the next period, last 10 minutes of the match away from home. You have to get through. You try and get through this period.
Anderson's touch was loose, and it is a bad tackle on Xhaka. Both men are rolling around on the floor. Elliot Anderson's touch really let him down. Xhaka looks at Anderson and says, come on mate, you know that was a bad one. It was. The referee comes over, and I think he's booked the Forest midfielder, who now jumps up to his feet. He's okay. Xhaka a little bit slow getting back up again, but Anderson can't have too many complaints about that.
Yeah, but if you're Ange, you're thinking, where was this performance in the first half? Where was that energy? Where was that real grit and determination to try and make something happen? It's different when you bring new different types of players on, but again, good response from Hutchinson, not playing much, but he comes in, gets an opportunity, probably putting 3 or 4 lovely balls into that box.
We'll come back to the energy thing in a moment, because we'll do this free kick first, because it's only about 10 yards outside of the Nottingham Forest penalty area, and all of the Sunderland players have gone forwards. It's Trey Hume that stands over the ball. It's about 10 yards tucked in off of the near touchline. Trey Hume's right-footed cross headed away by Morgan Gibbs-White, and Granit Xhaka gets there first. Right-footed volley, turns it out into the near side. Hume puts himself in front of Jesus, wants a free kick and doesn't get one. Sunderland have 2 more substitutions ready in Broby and Adingra. But on the energy thing, why wasn't that there from the start for Ange Postecoglou's Nottingham Forest? Maybe it's the new thing that they're coming off the back of a huge European night in midweek.
5 changes.
True.
And it's been given an opportunity for these boys to play. You know, the lads that
Hutchinson's shot deflects into the glove. Sorry, Charlie.
The lads that have played in midweek, but again, this is the opportunity. The lads that have not been playing are playing tonight. They bring 5 changes into it. You'd expect them to give you a little bit more than what they gave first 45 minutes, because that performance is not there where it was in the second half so far. So again, it's, you know, sometimes with Ange it might be thinking probably can't make as many changes after a European game, and I have to probably stick to the same team. So no, it's much better from Forest second half, but again now Sunderland trying to take the sting at the game and bring in, you know, a couple of subs on.
Yeah, it's Brian Broby who will come on for Wilson Isidore, and the other change sees Talby make way for Simon Adingra. Concern that'll be though for Ange Postecoglou, don't you think? The fact that, I mean, everything's a learning curve at the moment, but bringing in 5 players like that and having such a flat performance in the first half, that will concern him, won't it?
Of course it'll concern you. You know, as a manager, you try and do what's best for the team, and again, when you leave out the quality of a Gibbs White, for example, because he's the talisman and he's there, you know, sometimes you just probably have to keep him going with it, and then hopefully, you know, make that decision. But you don't know, he might be carrying an injury or whatever, but he's just wanted to try and freshen up. But they've not managed to get that performance for the first 45, and it's taken to the second half to probably, you know, make that difference in terms of the energy and, you know, and the quality on the pitch.
It's a new thing for Nottingham Forest players to have to deal with, getting back in the early hours of the morning after a European away trip. They're at home on Thursday night here in the first European match for almost 30 years against Midtjylland, and then they're at Newcastle next weekend, so it gets no easier for the Reds of Nottingham. 85 minutes on the clock. They continue to trail against Sunderland. Sunderland in front after 37 minutes. Aldereta's header. You can catch it on BBC One. Match of the day is at 10:30 this evening. Meanwhile, on 5 Live tonight, every putt, every shot of what is turning out to be a magnificent Ryder Cup for Team Europe and their captain Luke Donald. Earlier today, Ruben Amorim's troubles deepened for Manchester United. They were beaten in West London by Brentford by 3-1. Brighton won also in West London at Chelsea 3-1. Crystal Palace left it late to hand Liverpool their first defeat of the new season. They won 2-1, and it was 2-2 between Leeds and Bournemouth, and 5-1 to Man City against Burnley. Still more matches to come tonight with Spurs against Wolves. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff in North London. Here is Brian Broby for Sunderland. Does he win his side a corner kick? No, he doesn't. He was just offside. Barely seen an offside decision being given in this game. And it'll be a free kick for Forest deep in their own territory with 4 minutes left.
Yeah, it's now back to the wall for Sunderland. You have to try and now get organised, get your shape, not just matching runners. And if you have to make a foul to try and stop the game, try and get there. But when we win it, there we go. Can't give the ball away as quick as we are.
Traore looking for Siddiqui instead. He's given it to Jesus, and Forest have it on the right wing with the ever-dangerous Amari Hutchinson. Low ball this time into the 6-yard box. Is grabbed by Ruth.
It's a brilliant, again, I'm really impressed with Hutchinson. It's a lovely ball. He needs a striker. He's just needing to get across the front there of the goalkeeper, but goalkeeper takes it well. I think the goalkeeper's been really, really good in terms of with the ball and also with the saves he's made.
Another roll of the dice coming for Ange Postecoglou. Arnaud Calamuendo is also ready now to enter the fray. Callum Hudson-Odoi has space on the left wing though, approaching the penalty area and into it, onto his right foot, steps away from Hertruder, lays it on a plate for Anderson, 25 yards from goal. Now Gibbs White, low shot with his right foot, bit of a daisy cutter really, and Brian Broby, the lone outpost for Sunderland, picks it up and runs clear, waits for support and eventually finds it down that right touchline in the form of Bertrand Traore. Wouldn't be too surprised to see him go to the corner flag. He's not doing, to his credit. He's held up though. Again, where's the urgency to go and rob it back from them from a Forest perspective here? They're allowed to play it across the edge of the penalty area, and Simon Adingra, with lots of step-overs, weaves his way into the box, wins his side a corner kick, and those Sunderland fans cheer that like it's a goal.
Absolutely, brilliant play, good organisation, good play. When you've got that speed of Adingra at the top end of the pitch, and you've got an opportunity to get out with Traore as well, it's important that you use your head. You don't just go for it. You try and slow the game down, take your minutes, take your seconds. And again, Adingra there manages to get a corner and waste some time. Now we're in the 88th minute.
Trey Hume standing over the ball, right-footed. It's not going short. It's not staying in the corner. It's coming into that box instead. Flicked towards the back post by a Forest head, who's still down, slowly getting back up again. The ball is allowed to run out for a Sunderland throw, I believe, right next to the corner flag, touching distance. But is that Alderete, who's still down on the far side of the 6-yard box for Sunderland? Obviously the Forest fans will approach that with a dose of scepticism, but it looks to be cramp.
Yeah, a bit of cramp, yeah. No, it's a bit of time wasting as well. He has to
There's
watch
that scepticism.
Yeah, but again, it just has to watch because if he comes off, it's that extra 30 seconds he needs to take. So Sunderland will be delighted to keep the ball in this area.
It's going to be a corner kick, it's not a throw-in, so a second in quick succession for Régis Lebris's side and a fourth of the game. Tony Harrington blows his whistle and tells them to get on with it. Here comes the left-footed ball to the back post. Alderete heads it down, almost stabbed in. Chris Wood couldn't quite get it away. It fell to Dan Ballard at point-blank range. He couldn't turn it goalwards. Goal kick instead. And there's that change for Nottingham Forest as Arnaud Calamuendo comes on and Chris Wood makes way.
Yeah, surprisingly, 5-6 minutes to go, he's taking the big fella off. But you're trying to get another striker on the back pitch to play with Jesus at the top end of the pitch. But again, that was a big opportunity for Sunderland. Ballard puts his foot in there and just puts it over the bar.
And how Chris Wood may rue that opportunity before. The header that never was, as he flicked it wide. They might have another opportunity as Williams crosses it with his right foot from the byline. Hudson-Odoi tries to turn it up into the midfield. It might strike the arm or the hand of Traore, but it's from point-blank range, and those just aren't given anymore, despite the cries from the Nottingham Forest fans. All will turn now in the direction of the fourth official, and you can hear them around us in the press box say 6. It's 6 minutes for Nottingham Forest to try and find an equaliser. Sunderland, on the other hand, are 6 minutes away from their finest ever start to a top-flight season. They'll like more of the same from crosses like that. That's not Amari Hutchinson's best. 40 yards from goal, that might as well have gone 40 yards high and wide and not too handsome.
Yeah, no, that was his worst one since he's come on, but trying to force it at times. There's still 6 minutes. Keep moving the ball, keep moving it with pace and get it, maybe get it back round the other side and get Hudson-Odoi 1v1 and get a run from there, but he's just trying to force it and he's end up overhitting it and going behind for a goal kick. But again, for an away performance so far, I think Sunderland have been very good. Organisation with it, your Xhakas and Siddiqui at the middle of the pitch, he's been brilliant, I think.
Plenty of organisation, plenty of composure from Régis Lebris, who stands on the edge of his technical area. He never seems bothered, he always seems completely in control. Elliot Anderson strides over the halfway line and into Sunderland territory.
And even his team don't look flustered, do they? They look like they're in control of everything.
Hudson-Odoi manages to get past a couple of players and then cut it back to the edge of the D. But how often do you see that as Sunderland just clear up to the halfway line? How often do you see a team reflect their manager?
Yeah, but again that comes with work and trust between the manager and the coaches. There's that, if you're Granit Xhaka, a really experienced player, you have to understand to the manager that we know that we're away from home, we're going to have to come 5-4-1, give up possession at times.
Elliot.
On you go, sorry.
Yeah, Elliot Anderson has it on the edge of the Sunderland penalty area and now gives it to Hudson-Odoi. Back for Anderson, some space near the byline, cuts it back again, but once more Sunderland have it, and Granit Xhaka stands there with all that composure that all those years at the top level will give you, and just looks to steer it away down the right, almost finds Traore, but Forest have it again. Anderson has it again. Hudson-Odoi on the ball once more. Everything coming down this near touchline, the Forest left. Callum Hudson-Odoi tiptoeing into the penalty area. Back to Morato, who drags his left-footed shot just wide. He's not exactly the man that I was expecting to see pull the trigger, but it wasn't a bad effort.
Yeah, it's a good effort again, but when you've got players like Hutchison, it attracts 2 or 3 players, so there's always space somewhere else, or there's a free man. And again, it was the centre-back stepping in, Morato there, but he just dragged it wide of the post. Let's talk about Xhaka, being really key in terms of the organisation of the team. 5-4-1, being disciplined, not going chasing for, trying to go and getting after the ball. We don't need to. We get our group, we get our shape, we get organised, and then we press. But the manager will be really proud of the team so far at Sunderland. They've done really well, and keep just putting the ball in behind that Forest defence and getting up the pitch, nicking yards.
They continue to lead by a 1-0 on 5 Sports Extra. 6 minutes were added on. Half of those are already in the books. Sunderland, who have won all 3 of their last 3 trips to the City Ground. They've not met a huge amount this century, only 7 times, but when they do come here, they tend to leave with all 3 points, and they are so close to doing exactly that again this evening on their way back to the northeast. Here's Hertrauder on the edge of the Forest penalty area. He's still going, and it's well saved by Matt Sells. It's brilliantly saved. Hertrauder with snake hips, dipping and turning between Forest defenders. It was only Matt Sells that stopped that from being put to bed.
Yeah, it was brilliant play from the fullback. Again, Matt Sells, lovely save, but the space opened up. The bright lights opened up for Hertrauder there, and it's a great save from there. Keeps Forest in the game.
If in fact they are in the game. 2 minutes remain at the end of stoppage time, and Sunderland have the ball in the bottom corner as they attack the Forest end. Morato goes barrelling into the back of one of those Sunderland subs that have come on, Brian Broby. Earlier in the game that probably would have been a free kick, but you don't get that when you're trying to time waste, and so Forest boom a clearance up and into Sunderland territory once more. It'll be a throw-in for the visitors with less than 2 minutes of stoppage time remaining, and Sunderland so close to a first away 3 points on their return to the Premier League. Forest fans, many of them, have seen enough. They don't think they're going to get back into this game. They don't think there's a goal there for them. The best opportunity of the night, of course, came to Chris Wood. It so often does, but this time, and so unlike him, he couldn't quite find the corner with his header. I really thought that Adingra was going to be offside down the left there. Play was allowed to continue. He crosses it ultimately into the gloves of Matt Sells, who's gone all sweeper keeper here and ran outside of his penalty area before launching it 60 yards up towards the Sunderland defenders. Dan Ballard, who's up against Callum Owendo, says thank you very much, heads it down, and Roofs will now put a big left boot forward and up towards the halfway line once more inside the final minute of 6 stoppage time minutes. Callum Hudson-Odoi one of the 5 changes tonight, who had to settle for a place on the bench, is now on and desperate to make an impact. Now Zinchenko, one of the 13 Forest signings. Morato forwards out the middle of defence, cleared away. Xhaka there again, as always, and it's going to be another Nottingham Forest throw-in with time desperately against them on 5 Sports Extra. It's Forest 0, Sunderland 1. Elliot Anderson has the ball, 20 yards away from the Sunderland penalty area. Now Zinchenko. Callum Hudson-Odoi cuts in off the left wing onto his right foot, bends one towards the back post, just hangs in the air. Milenkovic could get nowhere near it. Now it's Amari Hutchinson on the right wing. He falls for a moment, gets back up again, keeps hold of the ball. Left-footed curling cross into the area. Ballard meets it, heads it away once more. The 6 minutes are up. The Sunderland players and coaching staff want the full-time whistle, and they get it. And listen to the boos. The natives are restless in the East Midlands. 5 matches under Ange Postecoglou, and still they haven't got 3 points under the Australian. It's finished at the City Ground. Nottingham Forest 0, Sunderland 1. Charlie Adam.
It's a brilliant away performance, but it's taken Forest 45 minutes to really get going. But you've got to praise Sunderland. The manager set them up really well. 4-4-2 at possession, really good organisation, good distances, backline, middle, front, and they really compact. And they caused them all sorts of problems in terms on the break. The 2 best chances of the game first half, one was for Isidori, pulled wide, and then ultimately the goal. But as an away performance, that was top level. Again, having to then go back to 5-4-1, being organised, not having the ball, just leaving it. But again, ruthless in the defending, and you can see Ballard win there. But I thought the goalkeeper Roofs was magnificent in goals for Sunderland.
Look at those Sunderland fans away to the right hand side in the sold out away end, all of them on their feet. Can they believe the start to the season that they've had? This is their best ever start to a Premier League season through 6 matches. As for Nottingham Forest, on the other hand, my goodness, they must feel like they've ran over a black cat when it comes to meetings with Sunderland. They've now won just 1 of their last 7 and 2 of their last 13, but of more pressing concern as Tony Harrington, the referee, receives some boos because of probably the decision surrounding the goal to award Sunderland with a free kick in the first place. He makes his way off. Concern for Ange Postecoglou and for Nottingham Forest that they still haven't found a way to win yet.
No, it's tough, and let's say the games that they've had, but it's taken 45 minutes to really see a different energy and quality in that team, bringing Gibbs White on, bringing Hudson-Odoi on, bringing Hutchinson on. But Ange will be disappointed in terms of it's taking that long. That first 45 was poor, and it looked like they had played a game in midweek, so they have to get back in the training pitch, prepare themselves ready for the week in midweek against Michelin, and then again preparing yourself for the Premier League. And it's tough. But I tell you what, if you asked any Forest fan, would you, or any Forest player, the owner, do you want to be playing in Europe? Do you want to be competing in the Premier League? Absolutely.
Another huge week ahead for Forest. How about this? Michelin in the Europa League, then to Newcastle at St James's Park, then at home to Chelsea, home to Porto, and away to Bournemouth. It doesn't get any easier for a side still trying to find their feet under a relatively new manager. Sunderland off to their best start to a Premier League season that they've ever experienced. What a job that Régis Lebris is doing there. They have a goal from Alderete to thank 8 minutes before time in the first half. A header, some controversy in the build-up to it, in the awarding of a free kick for simulation against Forest midfielder Nico Dominguez. Judge for yourself tonight on BBC One, Match of the Day at 10:30. Charlie Adam, thank you ever so much for your company.
Pleasure.
Really enjoyed it this evening. By the banks of the River Trent. So much football, so much sport to come on BBC Radio 5 Live and on the BBC Sounds app over the coming days, certainly the coming hours. On 5 Live, every single putt, every single stroke from the Ryder Cup at Bethpage in New York. And coming up next on 5 Sports Extra, it's Rugby League with Leeds Rhinos against St Helens. Thank you for listening to us on 5 Sports Extra from the City Ground, where it's finished Nottingham Forest 0, Sunderland 1.